There's power in that. Dark power.
Yes, Spellbound Prince. We are switching to this game because Bloodlines was just fighting tooth and nail against every attempt we made to get it to like capture correctly and actually have sound and visual working. Also, the actual gameplay in some cases.
Yeah.
After we cut the stream last time, Austin tried installing like kind of like a fix mod for it, and also tried activating some like god mode stuff to try to get out of a weird scenario, and we ended up seeing the inside of the universe, and it was very disturbing.
Yeah, it was pretty fun.
The big yellow things.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, this is Vampire the Masquerade, Coteries of New York. It's set in the same setting as Bloodlines, just a little further into the future, and also in New York City instead of Los Angeles. This one's a bit more in the realm of a visual novel. In fact, this is a visual novel. It's very pretty. And it's got some really good art, really good atmosphere. It is a really solid... this is my first exposure to Vampyr, and I want to play Vampyr. So, or like, I want to know what this setting is about and stuff like that. So this is a good starting point. A better one than Bloodlines, in my opinion, because it's a little more relatable in the sense that it takes place today. Yeah,
But
yeah.
That means we're gonna break our streak of playing games that are artifacts of 2004.
Yeah. Yeah, and
good.
and yeah, the sequel for this one just came out a few days ago. I've played through it. It's really, really solid. And we'll probably look at actually running that after we do Trails 2. So that way, you know, we're back and forth. Anyway, we're gonna start a new game now.
I think Arim, much like what we were doing with Bloodlines, I think Arim should be able to choose the clan and stuff.
Yeah, so we've got 3 choices in this one.
Okay.
We've got, and each one has kind of some different scenes that pop up. We've got Bruja, which are, again, the more rebellious ones that are like, you know, big, punchy, tough. We've got the Ventru, so if we want to reprise Theodora Vampyr, we absolutely can. And then we've got the Toreador, which are kind of like the artsy ones.
Right. I like, as per last time, I don't have a really strong preference, but I feel like we should remain true to the OG run and go with the Theodora Vampyr II.
Yeah, I am inclined to agree, and so we do get to name her. Her default name is Amanda, but that's all bullshit because we know her true name. Adora. Oh no! No spaces. All right. Well,
all right.
Theodora.
We know her
is
full
fine.
name. It's okay. We know her full name.
Her full name.
It's in the lore.
Yeah. And so we will also have more of an opportunity to like play around and do some voices and stuff. And so we will go ahead and get started. You can go ahead and voice this guy.
Okay. What type of voice is this?
I don't know who he is, so...
Okay, well,
Yeah.
I'll start very generically, and then as soon as we can see his face, you can direct me.
We don't ever see his face.
Alright then, I'm just going to make up what this guy looks like.
New York taught me to believe in fate.
Yes.
Had you asked me about fate back when I was a human, I would have told you it's just superstitious bullshit. That we are all designers of our own destinies. That belief shattered when the richest woman in the United States, the actual richest one, not a face you could have seen in the papers, of course, sank her teeth deep into my neck.
Actually, I do know who this is. Think kind of hoity, kind of fancy. He is kind of, if I were to give him a voice, I would say maybe slightly effeminate, almost Andy Warhol-esque, in terms of like personality and character.
Okay.
I mean, I can voice him if you'd like.
I can do that. I just it's gonna be tough for me to hit slightly effeminate without going full bore, but I'm gonna do my best. I read this one.
Oh,
already.
yes, you did read this one.
It happened in the very same place you're standing in right now, by the way. Fate, you decide.
Yes.
Please, there's absolutely no need to be hostile. Just listen a little longer. See, my mistake was that I flew too close to the sun. It makes sense that my punishment was to never see its glow again. I was incandescent myself. I was hot shit. I did all. Money, looks, confidence, connections, men, women, a career, and a spark in my eye, the one you need to be born with. And that's when someone far more powerful than me saw my radiance and thought, that won't do. She robbed me of the light erupting from within and gave me a subtle, enduring gleam in its place. She decided that would fit me much better. She was a 9th generation kindred just like you, an apex predator. She probably enjoyed teaching me the peak of human excellence, my real place in the food chain. It's such an eyesore when you look at someone loudmouth braggart and see them for all they really are. The temptation to teach them a lesson can be unbearable, right? Well, my sire's lesson was a lesson about fate, a message saying, you're eternally doomed to be at the mercy of your sovereigns. It almost drove me to destroy myself. What saved me was the ability to reinterpret her teachings. Hers wasn't a message of doom. It was a message of hope. Fate exists, and one can shape it if given the right tools. My sire didn't believe my tools were fitting for the job. She considered them toys, and me just her amusing subject. Well, she's deader than dead now, and I'm still here, standing right where she stood when we first met. You might have wondered how I've learned about your arrival to JFK Airport. My answer is, of course, destiny. As luck would have it, today happened to be a day some of my associates were inspecting the coffins. Driving you here straight from the plane and having you wake up in such an unfamiliar place was a little desperate, and I do apologize for it. But it is so rare for you to visit New York 3 times in the last 15 years, was it? And you're never eager to inform me you're here. I understand you still have that meeting on 53rd Street later tonight, so I'll provide a comfortable transport. I value our relationship very much, don't get me wrong. But it is precisely because I value it that I'm going to ask you to repay me the favor that you owe me. You're the only one I'd trust to do the job well, and without attracting attention. You might think I'm crazy, asking you to breach the rules of our society like this. You might think it's impossible to get away with it unpunished. But this is New York, and I don't know about other cities, but in this one, fate really exists. And right now, it's smiling in your favor.
That was really good, Arim. Oh my god.
This is how it begins. Your phone rings. It's your boss. Again. The setting sun that filled your high-rise office an hour ago is gone. The city looks like an ocean of light from up here, spreading for miles to the north. You pick up. You're about to call it a day, forget about the world of fintech, and decompress at home. No dice. One of the investors wants to meet you. His voice, as always, is the perfect mix of authority and sleaze. He'll come by your office in an hour. You look at the clock. An hour? He's got to be kidding. Yeah, I know, but stick around. He's a heavyweight. You'll want to make a good impression. Fine. You grit your teeth a little. The boss hangs up. 2 hours. Might as well pour another coffee into yourself and figure out how to best use this to your advantage. You suspect everyone knows that, no, you're actually not happy with your current position. That, in fact, you feel squished against the glass ceiling that comes with the territory. Sure, your idiot superior might have gotten the job only because he's the CEO's golfing buddy, but you're going to put an unholy amount of work into your advancement. Times were you'd laugh off the idea of staying at the office until 9 p.m. You had a partner to go home to, the nightly Netflix and chill ritual to perform, complete with pizza or Chinese takeout. Ever since you moved up the ladder, though, your hours have only gotten longer. Food? Mostly at the company cafeteria, sometimes takeout, always in a rush. You praise the heavens for your crazy metabolism and dread the day it decides to finally give up. Rest? At this point, the cleaning lady who takes care of your apartment probably spends more time in your bedroom than you do. You flash back to your boss quoting Shakespeare to impress his new, extremely attractive and uncomfortably young secretary. For some must watch while some sleep. So runs the world away. Drinks? Mostly with colleagues, and they all pretty much hate you at this point. Another flashback, this time to the most profitable quarter in the company's history. Still, the board decided that layoffs were in order. Your boss didn't feel like letting people know in person, so he passed that privilege on to you. Gotta hand it to him. He always knew how to pick his battles. But maybe, just maybe, tonight is the night it's all going to change. You decide to play the good looks angle. Nothing too slutty. You leave your blouse slightly unbuttoned, check if your ass still looks as good as you remembered in your pencil skirt. Mirror says yes. It's not something you're proud of, but you become too jaded to care. Knowing your luck, the investor is going to be one of two types. A self-obsessed Musk wannabe in his 20s or a fat old pervert drenched in cologne. You hear the elevator ding. Time to get this show on the road. You take one final look in the mirror and fix your hair as the footsteps echo across the empty hallway. The man who approaches your office is not what you expected. He's slick, to be sure, but he seems more refined than your usual company man. Expensive suit, matching tie and shirt, confident in his stride, surprisingly good-looking. Good evening. I hope this unforeseen visit isn't too much of an inconvenience. God, that voice. You're taken aback by how smooth and strong it is, and his eyes. Steel blue, cold, intense. He's all business, professional, treats you in a manner that is appropriate to your stature. When he speaks, he actually looks you in the eye and not at your cleavage. He asks some questions about your work, tells you how he noticed your input after talking to the CEO, another golfing buddy, and comes charmingly close to calling your boss an incompetent doofus. All the while, you try to guess his accent, but you can't quite place it. European, sure, but where from? I know I've kept you long enough, but would you indulge me and join me for a drink? Of course, for a minute there, it seemed like he wasn't that kind of guy. But what the hell? You go with it. He seems nice enough. Besides, it's not like you have other plans. The investor has a limo waiting downstairs, and the driver takes you to a high-end restaurant in Williamsburg. A seat is waiting for you in the deluxe lounge. It's just the two of you. You talk about this and that. Your companion seems to have a knack for history. So tell me, what would you do if you had full control of the company? You almost choke on your wine. This is your chance. You say what's been on your mind for months, but hide it behind a veneer of professional corpo babble. Refocusing, listening to your instincts for once. Restructuring, kicking out your boss. Aggressively pursuing new markets, getting the hell away from all these horrible people. He likes the sound of that. He leans forward. His eyes flash with intensity and something else. Strange emotion that wasn't there before. You'll do just fine. His words echo inside your head as you black out. You wake up, God only knows how much later. As you try to piece together what happened, you hear a familiar voice. The investor, or whoever the hell he is, talking to someone. You suddenly recall snippets? Fragmented memories. His sapphire eyes intently locked with yours, his teeth suddenly longer and sharper. And something else, feeling on your neck that takes you back to your last orgasm, a company trip to Florida, sweaty room and a cutie from HR who doesn't work there anymore. And then darkness. Yes, I'm done here. Consider my debt paid. The investor pushes the other figure aside and walks away from the lounge, barely bothering to look at you. The door locks behind him. Some time passes before you find the strength to get up from the couch. You touch your lips. Blood. Did that asshole hit you? You try to stand up, but your head is pounding and your stomach is like a heavy knot pulling you down. You didn't have that much to drink. He must have spiked your wine. This is bad. You frantically check your clothes. Pristine. Doesn't make any sense. All of a sudden, a feeling hits you unlike anything you've ever felt before. You fall to the floor, writhing in an all-encompassing pain and hunger. The kind that makes your insides burn. That cannot be denied. You try to calm yourself down with a breathing exercise they taught you at some bullshit mindfulness course. That's when it hits you. You're not breathing. And holy shit, should your heart be jumping out of your chest with that realization? But it's not moving. Not even a beat. The door unlocks. You hear a startled voice. A young man in a waiter's outfit, his accent thick with an Eastern European harshness, leans over and asks if you're all right. For a brief moment, you wonder what the hell he's doing here. Everything is wrong. His smell reaches your nostrils. It's intoxicating. Everything feels right again. He holds out his arm to help you stand up. You grab it firmly with both hands, and you bite down. You sink your teeth right into the old-school pin-up tattoo of Rita Hayworth on his forearm. It takes you a moment to process what you're doing. A part of you wants to break away, but a stronger voice implores you to keep drinking. One thing becomes clear. You are definitely enjoying this. He only struggles a little and quickly falls to his knees. You can see his eyes now, pale blue and confused. You only bring yourself to let him go once he collapses onto the floor. Your bite leaves a mess of his forearm. Poor Rita, all bloodied and missing half her face. Did you just drink this guy's blood? You spit out a piece of torn flesh. That's a... Why? Where? What was in that fucking wine? Barely able to focus, your heart and your lungs still motionless, you reach for your phone and dial 911.
911 operator, what's your emergency? All right, Arim. This is your time.
Oh boy.
Yeah, you get choices.
My heart stopped.
Who would like to be Theodora?
Arim, would you like to take over the dark mantle of Theodora?
Sure. So I don't know how the dialogue in this game balances out. If
Theodora does not talk much, only when a choice is made.
Okay, then sure. I guess it makes sense if I'm gonna be the one making the choices. My heart, it's not beating.
Ma'am, where are you right? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Go on. Where are you right now?
The door to the lounge swings open. The man who enters is not the one that brought you here, though there are similarities. Now we get the real handsome vampire. He's tall for one, broad-shouldered, handsome, dressed in an immaculate suit, but his skin is darker and the look on his face tells you he's not here to negotiate a deal. He notices the smartphone in your hand. Pass me the
Oh my god. It's just Austin.
Yeah.
It's just...
Pass me the phone if you want to live. The man's voice is persuasive, calm, but carrying clear threat. He's got the aura of a viciously efficient corporate shark. I find it hard to argue with him.
Ma'am, hello?
I apologize for wasting your time. My new colleague got drunk and is now trying to impress everyone with her antics. Good night. He disconnects the call and places your phone back in his pocket. For whatever reason, you can barely take your eyes off the stranger. As hypnotizing as his presence is, it is also highly discomforting. Good evening, miss. I'm here to pick you up.
Who are you? Who are you?
I'm your guide through this perilous night.
Is that a pickup line?
The stranger approaches the waiter and examines his body. Critical condition, but he might live. Anyway, he then sets his sights on you. I know this is all new to you, but I've dealt with hundreds of strays like you. And going by experience, they tend to fall into two categories. First, they're the smart ones who carefully obey my every word and don't try to pull off anything stupid. I always get them where they need to be, safe and sound. And then there are the dumb ones. The punks who thought they could take me on. The wise guys who tried to contact somebody, secretly and without permission. The troublemakers who tried to run off or make a scene. None of them got to their destination in one piece. In fact, most of them never reached their destination at all. His voice becomes slightly bored and monotone. You can tell he's given this speech before, likely dozens of times. So you see, while I generally consider myself pretty smart, I'm also a Mets fan. It's my one true weakness. One that inspired me to come up with the 3-strike system when dealing with pups like you. If you get on my nerves once or twice, well, I understand. Not all of us perform well in stressful situations. But cross me 3 times and you're out. No excuses, no forgiveness, no mercy. As he's talking, he slowly approaches you, adding a bit of theatrical swagger to his walk. Eventually, he leans in, deliberately invading your personal space. You realize it's a test. He's daring you to do something about it. 3 strikes, and you're out. Say, I understand, sir. Now. Every atom of your being screams for you to obey his authority.
Oh boy. I think we're gonna... What are you even talking about, guy? You're coming on real strong. Can you please just tell me what's going on?
No. I thought I made myself clear. Strike 1. Moving on. Is there anyone you want to inform of your current situation? Tell them you're all right? He flashes his fangs briefly, and for some reason the sight sends a chill down your spine. There's something very wrong about him. Someone closest to you.
Oh, I guess we'll be truthful. There's no one. As much as I'd like to sick this guy on my boss. No, I don't have anyone.
The stranger squints at you. No family, no lover, no friends, nothing.
That's strike 2. Everyone deserves someone. A job.
Your blank stare tells him the whole story. He immediately stops prying and gives you something even worse than a look of pity. A look of honest compassion.
Oh.
Well, that makes things simpler. But let me be crystal clear, just in case. From this point on, you are subject to different laws than the ones you grew up under, and you'll be watched by many eyes to ensure these laws are respected. You are forbidden from letting anyone know you're still alive. You are forbidden from showing your face anywhere they know you. If anyone comes looking for you, it's over for both you and them. That practiced tone again. You put on your poker face and listen in silence. So, unless you want your boss to end up at the bottom of the Hudson, I'd suggest you cooperate.
Don't tempt me.
He smiles, revealing his fangs again. There's something absolutely sickening about it. Suddenly, you feel overwhelmed by a sense of exhaustion. You pass out. When you regain your senses, you find yourself in a stranger's arms. The man is holding you as you would a spouse who's had a little too much to drink. You try to break free, but he holds you close and gives you a cautioning look. Only when you cease your struggling does he let you go. Only now do you notice the change in scenery. You find yourself in a fancy lobby, right next to the elevator. The place is virtually empty, save for a single concierge and some cleaning staff. Your companion gestures at the concierge as you pass and picks up the phone. The elevator arrives, the door opens, and the man motions towards the cabin.
What is that fucking centerpiece? I'm trying to figure it out.
It looks like a hookah.
Yeah, that's what I thought it looked like too. But there's like a weird fire on top of it.
Yeah, it's got like a candle. It looks like I interpreted it as some kind of very Art Deco candelabra.
Yeah.
But like, I can't tell what it's supposed to look like.
Yeah, it's like an oil lamp or something.
The guy's like, get into the elevator. What the fuck is that candelabra? Strike 2.
Yeah.
A hookah. Someone on the chat is like, a hookah, a phone. Those wire-looking things seem phone wires.
Yeah, it looks like just some sort of little art piece or something. After you.
Where are we going?
To a safe place. That's all you need to know. Trust me, you don't want to make this difficult. Just get in.
Well, geez, I guess we're gonna just step inside the elevator since this guy's clearly got a stick up his ass.
A baseball bat, one might say.
Yeah. Going
Fucking
against
Mets.
your...
Every fucking Mets fan I've ever met has been exactly like this man.
Yeah. Going against your instincts, you enter the cabin. Smooth jazz is playing over the speakers as the elevator starts its descent. You are dazed, panicky, but somehow locked in place. On one hand, you find the stranger's presence oddly soothing. On the other, you can feel your body tensing up with stress. You can't help but think back to the young waiter, the doe-eyed look on his face, the confused look he gave you just before... No. It's better not to think about it. Plus, you have other things to worry about, like the fact that you're being kidnapped. The cabin door opens to the same garage you arrived at with the investor some hours ago. The man shows you a black Cadillac Escalade.
The natural choice of vehicle for a vampire.
Of course. I know what you're thinking. Getting into a car with some strange man. Boy, sure does seem like a dumb idea. Maybe I can make a run for it. I might be able to lose him. So let me be perfectly clear. Your best bet is to get in, relax, and enjoy the ride.
I mean, you're not actually quite correct. My thought process wasn't getting in a car with a strange man. It was getting in a car with a man who has already threatened to kill me. But, you know,
Yeah.
we do what we have to. I'll just say, Yeah, I feel like... Let's get what he wants.
Yeah.
What do you want from me?
To meet your new superiors. You'll see. Superiors? Is that what a hostile takeover looks like nowadays? No more questions. Get in the car, please.
Yeah, we're gonna get in the car.
Listen, I'm worried about these strikes, man. I don't want to know what happens on strike 3, man.
I imagine it's just a non-standard game over where he's like, "You're dumb," and breaks your neck.
It seems like the worst idea ever, but the man's made it very clear that you have no choice in the matter.
Well, fuck, man. God, I'm fucking walking on eggshells here because I've got friends as a very, like, you can't do this to me kind of thing, but the other two are questions, and he just said no more questions. I feel like I'm being fucking set up here. Alright.
That's a classic vampire feeling.
Yep, that's how you should feel when you play Vampire.
Alright, what's your name?
Yeah,
Let's get on. Can I at least know your name?
You'll know it when the time is right.
Fuck you, man.
He takes.
Alright, well, until then, I'm gonna call you Johnny Depp, if you don't mind.
I'll kill you. Strike 3!
That's two strikes right there. One for Johnny, one for Depp.
He takes a glance at his expensive-looking watch. Listen, you really need to quit stalling. We're on a bit of a schedule here. The sun comes up in about 2 hours, and I don't intend to be here when it does.
Schedule? Wait, what schedule?
The kind that keeps you alive to see another night. He opens the car door and gestures towards it. You see no point in delaying the inevitable, so you get in. The door locks behind you. The Cadillac is almost entirely dark. The side windows seem light-proof. The man gets into the driver's seat, starts the engine, and drives away without another word. And somehow manages to fuck with the angle of mirrors.
Yeah, I was gonna say, somehow is looking straight at you, even though he's off to the side.
Yeah.
It's a new secret vampire power. So what do you think is playing in the car? Like music?
I think it is Thrift Shop.
Yeah, that's it.
Oh, yes.
Oh, hang on, I love this one. Bum 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 bum, $20 in my pocket. How am I alive? How are you alive? My heart is not beating.
Aren't you in big business? What do you need a heart for, anyway?
Hey man, I didn't give you shit about being a Mets fan, but you're gonna clown on me for being in business?
Listen, I realize you have many questions. Tomorrow you will get some answers. But tonight you need to do what I say. And right now, I need some quiet, please.
How will come in? Look at her come up.
Turns up
$20 in my pocket. Yeah, just
$20 in my pocket. He's just like, his windows are soundproof, so he's just like singing at the top of his lungs.
You feel too confused to protest. You stay silent for the rest of the ride, even as more questions bubble up to the surface. His voice, too loud, singing the song, making it very clear that you will not be able to interrupt him in any sort of thing. When the song ends, he immediately loops it back over.
That's right, I control the radio.
One of them being, did you actually kill someone tonight? Staring out the window, you find it hard to focus and quickly lose track of where you're headed. You can only tell that you haven't left Manhattan.
Oh my god.
Another underground parking. Almost featureless. Empty. The car stops and the man opens the door for you. We're here. The stranger walks you to a nearby door. He opens it and motions at you to get in. Go on in. Make yourself comfortable. If you get hungry, again, take a look in the fridge. I'll pick you up tomorrow and you'll get your answers. Behind the door is a small room. No windows, just a simple bed and a single light bulb hanging from the ceiling. A small fridge is humming away in the corner. A accompanied by a rattling AC fan in the wall.
You're leaving me here? That's it? You're just gonna leave me here?
That's it. For now, at least. Look, this room is your best chance of seeing another night. I realize you've been put in a problematic situation, and it's not entirely your fault. Cooperate, and you still might make it.
Not entirely my fault. I feel like that's being generous to everyone involved in this situation except for me.
Yeah. You'll learn more tomorrow, but for the time being, get in and get cozy. He gestures inside the room.
in Kilawa in chat. Actually, I just drove in a giant circle to be a dick.
Yeah.
This is the same creepy lot. We only have so many.
Look, just be glad the artists went out of their way to draw two different parking garages.
Yeah. I'll step into the room. They really give you a lot of options to fuck yourself.
They sure do. You step inside. The stranger
Oh wow,
nods.
this looks worse than I imagined.
Yeah. Good
Why
night.
is the light red? He's already gone.
Yeah. He locks the door behind you. It looks very sturdy. You open the fridge. There's a single plastic bag there filled with red liquid, no label. Tomato soup? You feel sick to your stomach. Best to leave
Tomato
it for
soup. Theodora, you dumb bitch.
now. One shoe.
Yeah.
That's kind of a nice shoe.
Yeah. That's your backup shoe.
You lie down on the bed. It's a simple mattress on a metal frame. At least it's not too filthy. You think back to how this evening began. This investor, is he friends with the dark-skinned stranger who picked you up from the restaurant? What happens now? Unable to relax, you spend an hour or so playing out various scenarios in your head. Eventually, you decide to give in and let exhaustion take over. Whatever tomorrow brings, you'd rather face it well rested. Plus, there's no way in hell your boss isn't going to notice your absence tomorrow. That, and maybe some of the restaurant staff will feel a pang of conscience. Someone will notify the police. Someone will find you, right? You flash back to the waiter's tattoo, the bloody Rita Hayworth winking at you over a pale mess of a wound. You did this. You bit him. Drank his blood? And it tasted good. What if you can never go home again? You are so tired, your entire body tenses up one last time, and before you know it, you drift away into oblivion. You wake up.
Oh, that was fast.
That in itself is a surprise. You barely remember when you drifted off. It didn't quite feel like sleep, more like plummeting into an endless void. You imagine that's how death feels like. The room is unchanged, the lamp is still on, the AC still rattling, and the refrigerator's still humming. You take a look at your watch. It's almost 9 p.m. You've slept for 17 hours straight.
Amateur.
Yeah. Maybe you died. Your breath is gone and you feel no thumping in your chest. Does that qualify as dead if you're still conscious? You're not sure about that, but you are certain about one thing. You are hungry. It's not your stomach rumbling, though. It's a need that starts somewhere in your abdomen and spreads to your chest, throat, and the back of your head. You open the fridge. The bag is still there. Take a closer look at it. If it is soup, then its color and texture are off. You pull the cork out, take a whiff, and recognize the smell immediately. Holy shit. There's no mistaking that. This is bagged blood. The smell is faint, and you remember some situations in the past where you found it nauseating, but now it's almost... No, not almost. It is enticing.
Yeah, we drink the blood.
It feels wrong, but right now there's barely anything in your life that doesn't. To hell with it. You pour a bit of the liquid into your mouth. It tastes like shit. It's coppery, thick, and clings to your tongue and the inside of your mouth like a film of dirt. You swallow hard regardless. The taste is foul, but somehow you kind of want more of it. As you take a second sip, sucking the blood out of the bag, you feel something pull on your insides. You double over. You're going to barf. You instinctively cover your mouth, looking for a place to vomit, but before you find it, a dark red wave washes over your hand and fingers. It hits the floor, splattering in huge, thick drops. Ventru, baby!
Yeah, I was gonna say, oh no, they bagged me some hobo blood.
Yeah. You keep heaving for a moment longer. Nothing is coming out. Not blood, not bile, not even spit. But still, something in your body wants to push it out. Push it all out. Every last drop. As you recover, trying to wipe droplets of regurgitated blood from your dress, you hear the lock click and see the door open. Standing there is the well-dressed stranger you met yesterday. Immaculate suit again, that predatory look, like a hawk on a hunt, but somehow more relaxed tonight. So, like a tamed hawk, maybe? Good evening. How was... He notices the splatter, your red hand, the sick look on your face. He barely contains a smirk. Oh, was the catering unable to satisfy your exquisite taste? Apologies.
Oh, you're smirking slightly. Did the Mets get a run tonight? I don't know why I'm like suddenly going so hard on the Mets. I don't know anything about baseball, and I think the Mets are actually a decent team. If this took place in Chicago and I could clown on the Cubs, that'd be one thing.
Yeah.
Was the catering, yeah, that was foul. It was terrible. Probably the worst thing I ever tasted, and I thought it was Mountain Dew Code Red, and I was somehow still disappointed.
I really enjoy Mountain Dew Code Red.
No, I actually do as well, but I thought I would go for it anyway.
Yeah. Aren't we picky eaters? Spare me your complaining. Come on, we've got places to be. You should have some water and a towel in the back of the car so you can clean yourself up. The car is humming in the empty parking lot just outside of the door of the cramped room you've spent the day in. The man motions to it, politely, but with a stern look on his face.
What the okay, get inside the car. We're not gonna shenanigan right now. It's not like I have a choice, right?
Correct, but your cooperation is appreciated nevertheless. You take the back seat again. The doors lock. The stranger takes the wheel and starts the car. You drive in silence for a while. From time to time, you keep trying to catch glimpses of familiar streets or landmarks through the blackened windows, but it's of little use. The car is also soundproofed, so all you hear is a bit of traffic humming in the car's engine. The driver doesn't say anything, and seems focused on the road.
I'm starting to find him in the mirror increasingly funny.
Yeah. You check the door handle. Yeah, the door is locked, all right. Piece of dark glass separating you and the front of the car looks sturdy too. There's nothing left to do but wait. You didn't have time to think about it before, but you realize now that you're hungry? No, not exactly. It's not a rumbling stomach that grabs your attention. It's a need that starts somewhere in your abdomen and spreads to your chest, throat, and the back of your head. You become restless. This is essentially a kidnapping. Whatever this guy says about its purpose, it doesn't change the fact that you're being held against your will, and you're not used to following orders when you can't delegate them to somebody else. You feel a need to get a semblance of control over the situation, so you decide to prove yourself useful.
We're not gonna brag about money or personal connections. I have a worthwhile skill set.
Hell yeah.
Listen, I'm an investment advisor, and I have a lot of experience in fintech. I have a lot of experience on the soch meds. Whatever your organization is, it might find use for me. I don't even
have any idea what fintech is, and honestly, I don't care to find out.
I was saying, I don't even have any idea what fintech is, and I don't care.
I'll be frank. Currently, you're in no position to offer anybody anything. The sooner you accept that, the better.
Ridicule his lack of ambition. Big words from somebody's dedicated errand boy. I wonder if you've ever achieved anything.
You push the right buttons. He gives you an absolutely furious stare through the rear-view window. For a second, you spot a crack in his professional demeanor. You don't know anything about me. You have no idea where I'm coming from or where I'm headed. For a few seconds, he quietly fumes.
I know a middle manager when I see one.
$20 in my pocket!
Someone in the chat suggested Caramel Dancing
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
a looking song, and I've been losing my mind ever since he got into the car.
Your attitude won't help you make any friends, and in your current position, you definitely need some. Consider that, preferably in silence. That dull hunger strikes again. The powerlessness hurts. You are used to people listening to you, or pretending to care about your demands at least. The driver doesn't play that game, and it annoys you to no end. It takes you another 20 or so minutes to get to your destination. As the door opens, you try to get your bearings. You're still in New York, that much is certain. Queens, maybe? After me. No sudden movements, please. You approach a nice-looking building that houses a 2-story gallery called the Art Hole. 2 large men in suits flank the door on both sides, and they give your companion a nod as you approach. Prompted by the stranger guiding you, you walk inside. The gallery is full, which is unusual at this hour, to say the least. About 24 faces fill the showroom, and a number of waiters navigate the gathering, serving drinks. All of them are beneath the guests' attention. The visitors are well dressed for the most part, but it's unclear what they've gathered here for. Nobody seems to be particularly interested in the art pieces on the walls, and the atmosphere is polite, unnaturally so. Many guests turn to look at you and the stranger who brought you here. Their glances are varied. You see open contempt on a few faces and animated interest on others. Most of the eyes in the room calmly observe you as if wishing to appraise your worth. This reminds you of your company meetings. You, the only woman in the room, silently judged, not on her merits, but her standing on the list, passed in clandestine email threads between your male coworkers, till HR found out, that is. Not the most pleasant experience, but there's no denying it taught you resilience. When others would cower, you now straighten up. When others would turn their gaze, you meet the eyes of the gallery's guests with confidence.
Good evening, Kadir, and to you, child.
The noble, cold voice takes you out of your head and back to the situation at hand. The gallery, a crowd full of strangers, you being brought here against your will. For what purpose? The room awaits your response.
Good evening, miss.
You are addressing the Prince of New York City, Helene Panhard, child of Michaela.
Thank you, my sheriff, but I'm capable of introducing myself.
Yeehaw.
She is somewhat plain-looking and doesn't seem to possess a great deal of charm, but still the entire room is intently focused on her voice. She has influence over these people. That much is clear.
You may address me as Prince, child. I understand your introduction into unlife was abrupt, and I understand your sire left shortly after. The rules of our society dictate that I punish you both for this transgression.
A murmur of agreement, maybe, can be heard from the gathered audience.
But I am willing to listen to what our loyal sheriff has to say about the circumstances of your embrace first.
The third option. No, I'm sorry. I'm just laughing at the third option. I think we're gonna remain silent right now.
You decide it's best to stay silent and listen to the whole situation unfold. Feels like you're out of your depth here.
Shall we begin? You are about to be judged by the court of New York City. Kadir, please tell us how you found this fledgling and what happened on your way here.
Court? Prince? Is this some kind of secret society make-believe? A trusted informant who has chosen to remain anonymous at this time tipped me off about a suspicious kindred appearing in one of our domains. Upon investigating, I found them gone, but this fledgling remained in their place. A reservation made in the private lounge of the patricians suggests this one's sire had plenty of resources to spend. However, they are apparently also well connected. I lost track of him. Despite some reservations, she offered little resistance last night and cooperated on our way to the safe house. I was pleased to not have to force her compliance. Opening the door to the safe house tonight, I was greeted by a most disturbing sight of her drenched in regurgitated blood. Apparently, the bagged supply we kept in the fridge was not to her liking. The remark elicits a contemptuous chuckle from one of the gathered guests, as they note the remains of the blood on your skirt.
Catty bitches.
This room full of vampires, and there's just like one pimple-faced guy who's like,
Yeah. It be like that sometimes. Sometimes that pimple-faced guy is a vampire. It was not an elegant sight, but that hardly matters, I suppose. Moving on. We had a quick chat, but wishing to appear here post-haste, I urged her to join me, which she did without struggle. A pleasant departure from my usual routine, I must say. During our drive here, she showed me her fangs, metaphorically speaking, posturing as if we were equals, insulting me when it didn't work. I refrained from causing her physical harm, but I expect her ego might still be a bit bruised. He looks at you and flashes a nasty smile. The story ends with us arriving at Elysium tonight. All eyes are on you again. You take a special interest in one of the faces.
Elysium? I thought this was called the Art Hole. Please tell me it's called Elysium instead. That is way more appealing.
Elysium is the name of any sort of vampire court where you're trying to... You want to be there because it is against vampire law to start shit there.
Just raise his hand. Can we put Elysium on the sign outside? I don't know if you're aware that it says the Art Hole, but that's a really bad name.
I'm embarrassed to be in this in this art gallery.
You guys are fucking nerds.
Yeah. Typically an Elysium is like a historic site. So you don't want vampires fighting like in front of like at Times Square or anything like that. And so it's a beautiful woman with curly, almost blood-red hair and a dress to match. You see her whispering to some bespectacled man with an absent-minded look on his face. Who is she, you wonder?
Thank you, Kader. I take note of this fledgling's behavior and will take it into consideration later.
You hear that, players? Choices have consequences. Prince Panhard will remember that.
Yeah. She turns her attention to you.
First, there's the matter of your sire. The person who brought you where Kadir picked you up from last night. Who were they?
Some Anthony Hopkins as fucking Hannibal Lecter-looking motherfucker. A handsome businessman, for certain values of handsome. An entrepreneur, acquaintance of my boss, I think. Good-looking, pale blue eyes and some gray in his hair. Charming, abusive, cold son of a bitch.
You feel tired and angry. This whole situation, spending the day in some underground parking lot, having to bear the looks of a room full of strangers, it's almost too much to take in stride. There's no reason you should take it all in stride, but you do, because if there's one thing your professional career has taught you, it's that. All because of that asshole. Whoever he was, he never even gave you a name or a card. Nothing.
Well, Kadir, does that sound familiar?
No, it does not. Or at least not familiar enough. I will continue the search after we're done here.
He talked to somebody at the restaurant. That man. He talked to somebody at the restaurant before he left. I can't remember what he said, but he wasn't alone. Maybe that's a lead you can follow.
Did he now? That is interesting. I do hope the proprietor won't stay mad at us for losing one of his staff. It's almost like he knows the waiter's fate is still bothering you and takes pleasure in pointing it out. Thank you for that observation. I will investigate it later.
I will investigate it later. Just
Later.
dives out the window.
Kick flips.
This is fucking awesome.
$20 in my pocket.
What shall I do with the fledgling, my prince?
What is your recommendation, my sheriff?
The traditions are clear. Thou shalt only sire another with the permission of thine elder. If thou createst another without thine elder's leave, both thou and thy progeny shall be slain. I am ready to fulfill my duty.
Stay your hands for just a moment longer, Kadir. I wish to consult my counsel on this. Make sure everybody is in agreement.
Of course. He seems strangely relieved.
She's just testing him.
The prince leaves the main showroom, and a handful of people follow her out. You're about to ask Kadir what all that talk of traditions and councils was when the red-haired woman approaches the two of you. Sophie.
Sheriff, I was wondering if I could have a word with the fledgling.
What for? She lowers her voice in response.
Come now, Kadir. We all know that the verdict is going to be. Let me speak to them. You might not have to stay in your hands tonight after all.
Her words grab his attention. His face is hard to read. It's like several emotions are struggling for domination. Anger, sadness, hope, gratitude, resolve. I'll go get my sword. He steps out of the room the way you came, and you are left in the showroom with the woman in the red dress. She takes you aside, and the eyes of the remaining guests follow you.
Well then, fledgling, you are in quite the pickle.
What was that about a sword? Wait, did I hear that right? What did he say about a sword?
Your hearing isn't faulty. We have a short while before the prince hears your counsel out, and Kadir returns here with his blade. So, listen, please. Last night, you became a vampire.
Wait, what?
Yes, I'm well aware of how ridiculous it sounds. It's the reason we have these nicer words for it. Kindred, being embraced, having a sire. The fact remains. The beings called vampires, you're looking at them. They're us.
You glance around. Some of the guests are still occasionally looking at you, commenting on you in hushed tones. Many of the patrons are pale, really pale. Most hold glasses of wine. No, not wine. That's not the right thickness, and not the right color either. Trying to come up with something sensible to say, but you're drawing a blank. Makes a morbid kind of sense. You drank blood last night, there's no denying it, and your breathing is not returned. Your heart remains still. A vampire. Two voices in your head start battling for supremacy. One of them slowly begins to put everything that happened since yesterday together, coming to a conclusion that no matter how insane it might seem, nothing but what she's saying makes sense. The other voice just keeps saying, "What the fuck, what the fuck, what the fuck," on repeat. What the fuck?
What the fuck? Oh my god!
You're surprised. This is how often it plays out by design. Kadir deliberately keeping you in the dark and all. Like, if we do nothing, you'll be cut down as sure as the day follows night. But I'm here to offer you a chance, a way out, under one condition. I'll take you under my wing. If you're lucky, the prince will be in a good mood tonight, and Kadir's complaints about your behavior won't influence her judgment. This society values docility. She might agree to this, but only if you swear fealty to me.
Sophie has a valid casus belli. on your county.
Yeah.
You own a county in my Danger Duchy, you bitch.
I'm not making this offer lightly. As your patron, I'll take responsibility for you. Your actions will reflect on me, and if they reflect negatively, well, I'll make sure you face the consequences.
How will you convince the prince? You're saying the prince might have other plans for me? What will you offer to convince her?
You'll see it yourself. Hopefully. Know this. There are certain traditions and a history of our society in the city that I can tap into. My word might not carry that much weight, but it's not that easily ignored either.
Steps and hushed voices can be heard from the side room. It seems the prince and her council are returning to the showroom. Kadir appears from downstairs as well and starts walking towards you.
When you hear the verdict, ask to be spared. I'll intervene. Remember my condition.
She flashes a heart-melting smile towards Kadir, who does not smile back. The sheriff's immaculate suit is now complemented by a curved, oriental-looking metal scabbard fastened with a colorful sash around his waist.
Fucking weeb.
It would
Of
look
course
vaguely
he has
ridiculous.
a katana.
Of course he has a katana. This is Vampire the Masquerade. I always think of it as more of a scimitar, but yeah, I guess oriental.
It could be either.
It would look vaguely ridiculous if it wasn't surprisingly intimidating first and foremost. Kadir takes his place next to you and observes as the prince takes center stage again.
Loyal kindred of New York City, Camarilla gathered here tonight. I've made my decision regarding this fledgling. Their behavior since being embraced has been disagreeable, and that does not bode well for them becoming a valuable member of our society. You are all keenly aware that these nights we need to close our ranks and trust the wisdom of our elders and their traditions more than ever before. As our trusted sheriff pointed out, there can only be one course of action. Although I acknowledge some of my council's divergent opinions on this.
She takes a look specifically at one of the people who left the room before, a somewhat plainly dressed, shy-looking man whose skin has a somewhat healthier tone. He bows his head in deference.
I hold the final authority over this fledgling's fate, and I declare that while their embrace might be the sire's responsibility, in their absence it's their progeny that shall be punished. The sentence is final death, to be resolved presently. Kadir?
You hear a scraping sound and see that the sheriff has unsheathed his curved sword, glinting in the moonlight. It is a beautifully detailed blade, which you expect must be worth a small fortune. Its apparent sharpness makes you freeze up.
Wait, Kadir, tell me why you massacred our village.
2 outs. Bottom of the night.
Oh god, I forgot you're a fucking baseball fan too.
His quiet mumble is audible to nobody but you. As his eyes meet yours, you note just a hint of sadness in his countenance, one that quickly vanishes to give way to grim determination. And he's out to bat. You will not get another chance to speak up.
Oh, they fucking...
Yeah, no, they give you the option.
Yeah, you know, fucking... Just kill me. Ask for mercy.
You make your choice. I love Kadir. He's a loser.
Spare me, please. Don't make me beg, goddammit.
Prince, if I may ask you to stay the sheriff's hand for a while longer.
No. Game over.
Oops.
Kadir looks at the prince, awaiting her response. The sword is still hanging above you, threatening to fall at a moment's notice.
Is there something you would like to say, Miss Langley? Yes, if I may.
At first, the prince looks somewhat annoyed at the distraction, but she stays quiet for a while, measuring the mood in the room. The bored elite suddenly look at you with aroused interest, some of them dismayed at not seeing the bloodshed, but all intrigued by the unexpected twist. The prince nods.
Well, let's hear it.
Sophie takes a few steps forward. All eyes are on her now, but Kadir's heavy hand on your shoulder makes it clear you won't take advantage of the distraction.
My prince, while the traditions are clear, I believe that the proper context should be observed in addition to the letter of our laws. This fledgling is a burden, but with proper guidance, they could become an asset to our domain. And I understand you're volunteering to take this unruly child under your protection? Yes. I'm willing to give them a chance, and to prove to the entire domain that they can adhere to our expectations. I'll take nothing less than their full cooperation naturally.
Whispers can be heard again, an incredulous voice or two. A hushed, just behead the fucker.
It's the same pimply-faced guy.
Yeah, just behead the fucker! Some suppressed exclamations of surprise.
That's just bullshit!
Silence! All I ask is that you make a note of this moment. I might be persuaded to bend one tradition in this child's favor, but another will have to be enforced even more firmly in its stead. Until thy progeny shall be released, thou shalt command them in all things. Their sins are thine to endure. Are you certain that's a responsibility you wish to shoulder, Miss Langley? I am willing to guide this fledgling and add a valuable ally to our sect in a time of need, yes. But I would like to receive the right of destruction over them if it pleases you.
I feel like we're not gonna really improve our situation by butting in here, so we're gonna remain silent.
It's clear tensions are high. It feels surreal to listen to strangers discussing your death, or second death apparently, and keeping silent. You decide it's best to let Sophie handle this alone and not interject. You have no idea how to handle this eyed-wise shut crowd. The prince looks at you as if weighing your worth. She takes another good measure of the room before she speaks again.
I shall grant what you ask. Let it be known, Sophie Langley of the Clan of the Rose will become this fledgling's patron. They shall be considered like sire and child. Miss Langley will take full responsibility for them, and I grant her the right of destruction if she sees fit to use it.
Hooray, we got adopted!
Yay! New mom!
Let my intentions be clear, however. If I am to turn a blind eye to one of our most important traditions on this occasion, I expect it to be beneficial to the Camarilla, substantially so. I hope you find this verdict satisfactory, Miss Langley. Of course, Prince. Thank you. Very well.
She turns to you.
What is your name, child? She takes off that glove and slaps you with it.
Theodora Vampyr the Second.
Oh no.
Oh God, no, Kadir, do.
No, never mind, killer.
Kadir, what the fuck? Her name was Theodora Vampyr?
Who did this?
Theodora, Prince.
She nods.
Welcome to the Camarilla, Theodora. Now, this evening proved to be even more eventful than I anticipated. With the fledgling's fate decided, I believe our meeting can here conclude. Thank you all for appearing on such short notice. Give my regards to those who couldn't make it. Kadir, a moment of your time before I let you return to your duties.
Of course, Prince. He shoots you a side glance that doesn't leave much space for interpretation. You will be watched, you will be judged, and, if need be, you will be punished. The two of them leave the gallery.
Well, Theodora, I think we've both already managed to significantly improve each other's evenings. But let's keep the ball rolling, shall we? I think we should have a toast to a new fruitful partnership.
She raises her hand.
How about a glass of Code Red, perhaps?
My favorite, a fine vintage 2009.
She raises her hand at one of the well-dressed concierges who have now reappeared in the showroom to refill the guests' glasses. The conventionally handsome man approaches with a carafe of red liquid. The memory of throwing up in the safe house is still fresh in your mind, but the idea that it could happen again is almost enough to reject the drink altogether. But there's no denying it. You want it. Need it.
I remember what Kadir said about your misadventures before getting in the car. Some of us have more delicate palates than others. Try taking a small sip. S'il vous plaît.
He pours it into the two tall glasses.
Gesundheit.
You can barely wait until he hands you the drink. Your attention is fully on it. The fact that it's blood, you're certain of it, doesn't faze you this time.
Oh, they fucked up. That should have been spelled F-A-Z-E. Different word.
Oops.
Cancelled. The stream's
Yep.
over.
Shit game.
0 out of 10.
0 out of
Unplayable.
10.
0 out of 10.
I think to be absolutely fair, as fair as I can be, the team that made this is from, like, Poland. It's difficult to take just a sip. Even though the taste is as foul as before, you are tempted to down the whole glass in one go. You wait before taking a second taste. You're glad you did. A feeling like heartburn signals that you can't keep it down. You spit it back inside the glass. Sophie looks on, intrigued.
I'm not surprised. NYC caterers have a very bourgeois idea about what good blood should taste like. Well, you just need to keep trying.
At Sophie's request, the concierge serves you 3 other variants of blood. The first 2 are as horrible and indigestible as before, both ending back in the glass within moments of tasting them. Before the 3rd try, you're almost ready to throw the glass at the wall in frustration. But, finally, this one's different. Instead of mud and decay, a surprisingly rich bouquet of tastes, you feel blissfully at ease, and Sophie takes notice.
Ah, I see. You only like blood from the gays.
It'd be like that sometimes.
You really do. You're like, I can only drink blood from people on 53rd Street. I don't know what it is, but that's just it. Ah, there it is. Jacob, would you kindly let us know who the donor was? Leave the bottle, please.
The concierge nods and leaves again. You take another sip, and another. You empty the glass. The dull feeling in your stomach and head starts subsiding, but you still want more. Sophie pulls you another glass and refills hers. She takes a sip.
You have a curiously specific taste, Theodora. Is it the clover notes, the traces of caffeine, or that bittersweet aftertaste of melancholy?
You taste nothing of the kind.
Shut the fuck up, Robert Frost.
You taste nothing of the kind, but it doesn't matter. It's tasty, but not as delicious as it was last night, not as intoxicating. It manages to silence the hunger somewhat, though. Drinking blood puts you at ease. It's a strange realization. The man named Jacob comes back with a small card and leaves it with Sophie. She takes a quick look and passes it on to you. It's somebody's medical details. An office worker, male, Caucasian, 32 years old, blood type ABRH+, blue eyes, brown hair, no history of substance abuse, New Jersey native. Might one of these details be what makes the difference?
Ghastly ink in chat. Ah, I see you only drink from Mets fans.
Yeah. Now
that we've picked the right bouquet for your palate, these documents should be useful in identifying your exact taste. Should they be ORH positive or Joyzy boys? but I believe you have more questions, no? Perhaps we should start with those related to sustenance.
How much do I have to drink? I feel this hunger constantly. How much do I have to drink to make it go away?
Ugh, the sad reality is, it will never go away. No matter how much you drink, you'll always be tempted to have more. Unless you consume someone wholly, to the very last drop, paying for temporary relief with their life. But that's a one-way road to losing your humanity. Best start by just taking a single sip from a vessel. Be prudent. Hot, fresh blood will be more satiating than almost anything they serve in a fancy glass, but it could make you more voracious. As to how much you should have, it depends. If you're frugal, you can survive many nights without a single drink, but it's risky, and it'll tempt the beast. That's part of our curse. Tomorrow, I'll take you hunting, and we'll explore this topic further. The blood you have tonight should be enough to keep you happy for now.
Yeah, hang on. Back the fuck up a second. You mentioned a beast? The beast you mentioned. Would that be the beast with two backs, or?
Oh, it's quite real. Although not in a strictly physical sense. It lives in all of us. Our nature and hunger manifest. Those more religious among us connect it to biblical Cain, the rage of the first murderer cursed by God, seething in all of his descendants. I, however, am a child of the Enlightenment. Not that it makes my struggle any easier. I have to be wary like any other kindred in the city and beyond. Individual kindred each have a unique relationship to their beast. What yours is going to be remains to be seen. But you do need to keep it under control. Each outburst endangers not just you, but also the masquerade.
The concierge returns, asks for permission to intrude, which Sophie gives with a polite smile, and leans in to whisper in his ear. You note that the gallery is now almost empty.
I'm being told the gallery is about to close, but we still have quite a lot to discuss. We'll go to one of my apartments. My jalopy is waiting downstairs. Come.
Do I have to leave the art hole behind?
The smile she puts on could tip any negotiation towards her favor. Her words are like honey, and she makes it impossible to take your eyes off her. You are under her spell, momentarily. Sophie leads you to a luxurious silver Rolls Royce and continues to do that same thing that Kadir could do with the mirror.
At least she's not driving.
Yeah. The chauffeur, a broad-shouldered, clean-shaven, middle-aged guy, and starts driving immediately.
Ugh, where did we leave off? I believe I started telling you a bit about our customs. You've heard the prince refer to our traditions. The chief among them is the masquerade. As you might have gathered from us assembling at a niche gallery after closing time, our comings and goings and doings tend to be somewhat secretive. We don't advertise our existence. We allow myths and modern fiction to morph and muddle the facts. So to the vast majority of kind, we remain bedtime stories and pop culture icons. Say, is that one television show about a vampire angel still popular?
You shake your head in confusion.
Yeah.
She shrugs and continues talking, looking a bit more dejected
What the hell are
than
you
before.
talking about?
I think she's talking about the show
yeah.
Angel.
Angel, yeah, no.
I loved that show. It was really good. Our clandestine ways help us remain safe. It allows us to explain away the occasional trip up to the rational minds of the 21st century, humanity, and dictate how much of our interactions with mortals. That is a weird...
No, and dictate much of our interactions with mortals.
Okay, there we go.
I'm gonna ask the obvious question. Is your driver a vampire too?
Hell yeah.
So if it's such a secret, then I'm guessing your driver is a vampire too?
Oh, dear! Gregory here? No, he's not a vampire. Although he is a loyal servant, as such trusted not to spill our secrets left and right. You'll realize with time that such help is welcome. Gregory watches over me during the day hours. Sunburns are kind, and that's why we take our rest when it rises. It's more akin to being dead than asleep, I'm sure you've already experienced. Not everything you've heard about vampires is true. Some more folk-related threats are just legends, or occasionally a minor nuisance, garlic, running water. Even religious symbols don't repel us unless the wielder is uniquely pure and godly. Stakes through the heart, though, that's something to avoid. They don't destroy, but they do paralyze us. Well, that's just another reason to have someone like trusty old Gregory making sure you're safe when you drift away. We have many enemies, and they often know their advantage lies with daylight.
I'll go for the most naive question out of these. Do vampires watch each other's backs? You mentioned enemies. I guess that makes it necessary to watch each other's backs. Can you count on other vampires for that?
Oh, heavens, no.
She surprises you by letting out a soft chuckle before answering.
Oh my goodness gracious, no. Yeah, no. I love it just went straight into the next question. That was her entire answer.
Yeah.
Our little sect supplies social interactions aplenty, but it doesn't really encourage counting on someone. Support given in exchange for favors? Yes, that's more like it. Long-term solidarity does occur in the Camarilla, but we are a very politicized organization by necessity. Loyalty is to your sire, your prince, and to the sect. When you're in Elysium, like we were tonight, the sect can appear to be a monolith, but the reality is more complex. Outside of official gatherings, shady deals and the quid pro quo mentality reigns supreme.
She seems to be lost in thought and falls silent for a while, leaving you to ponder all of the things you've learned tonight. Still feels absolutely unreal, but as piece after piece of knowledge falls into place, the image becomes almost like an entirely logical jigsaw puzzle. Whatever you wouldn't believe on your own, you've witnessed. Many questions swarm your thoughts, but the one you keep returning to is what your place in this new reality should be. The car stops. You're in the city in front of an old but well-renovated apartment building.
We're here. Would you like to see your lodgings?
Yes, can I have a light that isn't red?
No!
Sorry, that's the only color now. Looks at own dress and hair.
Yeah.
Yeah, is it another parking lot room?
Hell yeah!
Is it another drab safe room in an underground parking lot for my safety and all that?
Oh, don't be ridiculous. You're not a sireless fledgling in Kadir's stern grasp anymore. And even he wouldn't hold you there any longer than necessary. I think. Come upstairs.
She leads you through a small hall with a night guard who greets Miss Langley with a good evening, and you take the stairs up to the second floor. Sophie opens the door to room 209. Inside are all the amenities you could expect from a modern apartment, and some you wouldn't have deemed necessary just the previous night, including thick blinds on the windows. The back room has a comfortable-looking bed and a thick steel door with several sturdy-looking locks, but no windows.
Well, how do you like it?
Honestly, I feel like we've traded up so high that this is great, thank you. This is great, thank you.
I'm glad. Make yourself at home.
So that you don't have to repeat yourself every time. You can actually choose. We can number the options, just,
Oh,
and
yeah,
then,
sure.
And then you
1,
say,
2, 3.
yeah, and then that way, yeah.
It is funny when it happens,
Yeah.
though.
Tomorrow, I'll take you hunting and discuss the blood in more detail.
The blood.
I'll let you get comfortable. The keys are by the television set. I'll come and pick you up tomorrow night. Use the back room for rest. You can lock the doors just in case.
It stings a bit when she leaves. It's like the room suddenly became a few shades dimmer. You inspect the kitchen, hoping to find something to drink. Nothing. No regular food either. Feels strange that Kadir could be a more thoughtful host than your new sire, even if only in that respect. You briefly wonder if the sheriff might have a hidden side. With nothing left to do, you lie on your couch with the TV playing in the background for company. Columbo reruns. Kojak reruns. President of the United States got himself into serious trouble again. President of the United States got him out of serious trouble again. Pundits start yelling at each other over things that seemed a little less insignificant just 2 days ago. You start drifting off, reflecting about another night of confusing conversations and worldview-shattering revelations. How many more before you finally understand what happened to you and what you're supposed to do now? You keep coming back to the life you left behind, the people you should contact, the things you want to pick up from your apartment. You wonder when you'll have the chance for either. As you start to feel the same tiredness that made you drift into a cold sleep last night, you settle into the back room. The bed is comforting, the lack of windows less so. You leave the light bulb on. Looking at it, you realize it's the closest you'll ever come to staring at the sun on a breezy summer day again. A wave of melancholy overwhelms you. A few minutes later, your consciousness fades and you take the plunge into darkness again. Sinking, 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 sinking.
Every time they cut to that image with like the
Yeah.
like, oh, are we playing The Ring now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Hunger is tutorial. Hunger is at the heart of a vampire's existence. To ignore it is to tempt the beast to take over in its desire to feed. To overindulge in feeding may threaten the masquerade while staining what humanity you have left. In Coteries of New York, having a high hunger is indicated by a progressively thicker, bloody frame around the screen, like the one you see now. As your hunger grows, so does the indicator. Your hunger may increase when you call upon your vampiric powers, or when you need to mend your wounds after a fight. When your hunger reaches the maximum level, you will receive a warning after you complete a piece of the story. Ignore it at your own peril. Some choices might only become visible if your hunger is high enough. Similarly, high hunger may block off some choices, as you will be able to see after pressing continue.
I see. Is that blocked off option for like New Game Plus, or is it just?
It's just to demonstrate. Yeah. To decrease your hunger, you will need to feed. Whenever you see a feeding opportunity, you can take the risk to hunt and slake your hunger. You will need to keep the hunger at bay if you are to uphold the masquerade and survive the nights that await you. You open your eyes. The bed isn't warm. The room is filled with artificial light from the ceiling. The solid metal door is closed. Normally, you'd stretch for a bit. On some mornings, you'd probably throw the quilt over yourself and snooze a moment longer. But that was before. The way you woke up now, you are fully conscious. No grogginess, nothing weighing you down, just the nagging need in the back of your head. Hunger. Not as severe as the last time, but unmistakably there. You get up and open the door to the main room. A digital clock on the TV shows you the time, 9:04 p.m. You walk over to the blinds and retract them cautiously. The only light coming in is New York City's artificial nighttime luminescence. So that's what your waking hours are going to look like now. You miss the sunlight already. You're seriously considering just walking out of the apartment, figuring out all of this by yourself, but then you come back to the memory of Kadir's exotic sword being raised at the gallery. Maybe sticking around isn't that bad an idea after all. You keep jumping channels for around half an hour and then switch to streaming services. Almost as if the universe had a sense of irony, you catch True Blood in the flood of recommendations.
Shit, did I have my smartphone on me for that entire thing?
Yeah. The doorbell rings. It's Sophie.
Good evening, Theodora. Slept well?
Like a dead man. Like a dead man. There we go.
Curious wording. Not far from the truth, I suppose. No use dwelling on it. I think you'll agree with time. You made the right choice yesterday. I can teach you many things about yourself. The blood, its desires, and its power. We'll begin tonight. You're hungry, yes? I'm sure you are. My kind always is. And there is only one remedy. The blood. The drinks we had yesterday at Elysium were not the usual way you slake your thirst. So tonight, I'll assist you in into your first foray into hunting. You'll need to learn to sense the kind of blood you desire, to understand how you can use the kind's vulnerabilities to your advantage.
Predator and prey, huh? Grim Fandango. Let me get this straight. We are predators, humans are prey? That's pretty grim.
Oh, I know what you feel. Remember the notion, but you will inevitably grow beyond it. You need blood to thrive, but there are many ways to take it, some more humane than others. You'll find that drinking moderate amounts of it regularly will keep the hunger and the whispers of the beast away. You might think yourself monstrous, but there's a balance to be found here. The kiss gives the kind pleasure. You might remember this from your own embrace. Some can even become addicted to the sensation, but if you do it right, they tend to misremember your feeding.
Basically what that is when a vampire dips their fangs into you, you get sort of a euphoric feeling instead of like, this fucker's biting me. And it kind of helps you forget about what actually happened when you were being fed on.
Yeah.
After all, vampires do not exist. They are myths, fairy tales, and pop culture mainstays, correct?
She gives you a sly, knowing smile.
That is why the masquerade is so important, and even more crucial when you feed.
How do you... Yeah, I think the most obvious one. How do you avoid being seen? How do you avoid being seen, Wolford?
You isolate your prey, or you choose the right circumstances. People tend to avert their eyes when they see a couple intertwined in public. Love bites are an easy way to explain away. Some of us keep willing herds, or even just individual kind who desire the kiss. But that comes at a higher risk these nights, though I would not recommend it to a young kindred like yourself. Feeding from the same area repeatedly can be dangerous, but by branching out, you risk the ire of other kindred on whose domains you trespass. Luckily for you, NYC is more forgiving in this regard. New York is in somewhat of a unique position. Many of its neighborhoods remain contested or unclaimed. The reason for this is, that's a lesson for another time. But keep the following in mind. Take opportunities to feed when they present themselves these upcoming nights. As long as you hunt cautiously and respect the masquerade at all times, you should be fine. To wit, I want you to join me for a trip tonight. Come downstairs. Gregory is waiting for us.
The busy streets fill with traffic noise. The busy street fills the air with traffic noise, pedestrian chatter, and a mix of smells that disorient you momentarily. These warm bodies contain what you want, what you need. You catch yourself. Did you really just think of these people as mere sources of blood? It takes a nudge from Sophie to break your train of thought. Her driver opens the door for her and then tips his hat to you, gesturing to the back of the car. The car casually joins the somewhat thinned New York traffic. It's still busy in a way only one of the biggest cities in the world can be, but compared to the daytime commute, it's a pleasant drive. You barely have time to gather your thoughts and formulate new questions before the car comes to a stop. You're among the tall skyscrapers that make up Manhattan's iconic skyline.
Come, Theodora. Park the car, Gregory, will you?
The driver just nods and Sophie gets out. You join her and the two of you walk through the glass doors together and take the elevator up. You first notice an empty stage with the instruments of a string quartet still in the back, then take in the few dozen chairs in front of it. The concert seeming concluded, the patrons, all smartly dressed and posh, have spread out all over the hall. Sophie strides confidently inside, produces an invitation from her purse that she flashes in front of a security guard. You follow close and are let through without issue.
Let's start easy. A social setting like this one would usually prove quite challenging to an inexperienced kindred, but consider this evening a small gift from your patron. I'm hoping to procure for you a willing vessel. Just remember what I told you about taking small sips? I have a soft spot for. This one I have a soft spot for. Don't damage her. Now, let's see. Oh, there he is.
She notices somebody in the crowd, flashes a heart-melting smile, and suddenly, even you feel drawn to her. You haven't thought about it before, but it's laid clear before you in this moment. Sophie is beautiful. Just looking at her is a privilege. Just being with her makes you feel elated. Everybody in the crowd, but especially the man who's almost tripping over himself to reach her, clearly agrees.
Edgar, I'm so happy to see you. How's your daughter? She with you? Oh, there she is. Julie, my girl, come over, please. There's someone I'd like for you to meet.
I will say, just looking at the conversation that's going on, in the pen and paper, you actually can increase your humanity using experience points. Pushes up my glasses.
Oh, hey, it's that guy from the gallery.
Yeah, it's me. The young woman who walks across the hall
Fucker.
can't be more than 19 years old. It's clear from her mismatched earrings and the partially faded purple hair dye that she doesn't fit this crowd.
Julie, this is Theodora. I think the two of you should get acquainted while I talk business with your dad. Awfully boring stuff, I assure you. I'm positive you'll like each other.
The girl gives you a shy smile and nods towards the balcony stairs. You follow, somewhat unsure what it is Sophie expects you to do. You reach a secluded space from which the entire lobby is visible. All eyes are on Sophie. They listen intently, then laugh when she does. Julie saves you the trouble of figuring out the next step. If you're with Sophie, then I guess you're, I mean that, you know. She puts her wrist to her lips and gives herself a theatrical nip, then looks to you, embarrassed, but also hopeful.
I was gonna like joke, but this is like pretty much what happened anyway. It's like, oh, we'll just go over here. All right, I see you're. We're just gonna do this, huh? Here's my neck and my business card.
Yeah.
What? You're into that sort of thing? What? Are you into this sort of thing?
She blushes, looks down at the floor, nods. Could you? I mean, if you'd like. Miss Langley tells me that She swallows hard, avoids your eyes. That I taste nice.
Wow, this is the weirdest shit I've ever seen, but okay. Yeah, we're gonna do it.
Let's hope she's your type. You take her forearm in your hands, a quick look around confirms nobody's watching.
You look closely into her eyes. Are you from New Jersey?
Yeah.
Be honest with me. Don't lie to me.
And no security cameras cover this area. You bite down gently. It's surreal. She's just given you her blood of her own volition. How is this possible? What about the masquerade? You need to ask Sophie. You tear away from her. A brief convulsion shakes you. Her smell. It's her smell. It's not right. The temporary feeling of bliss the girl felt when you bit her is gone in an instant. She's disappointed, annoyed even. She looks at you, unsure of what's the matter. Come back, please. Just have some more, just a little bit more. The very thought makes you want to throw up what little of her blood you've tasted. You shake her head. The girl sniffs, starts crying, wipes her face into her jacket sleeve, and walks down the stairs into the hall.
Rejected.
The crowd around Sophie disperses slowly. Looking at her now, only some residual awe hangs in the air. Yes, she's pretty, maybe even beautiful, sure, but not your type. What came over you before? You walk over to her.
Edgar, dear, it was splendid talking to you, but we need to get going. Give Julie my best wishes. Come with Theodora.
Gregory is waiting for you out front. It's only in the car that Sophie addresses you.
So, how did it go?
Ugh, gross. Number 4. How did what go? Why would you play coy? I tried, but I couldn't do it. I couldn't stand the smell or the taste.
Curious. I consider Julie's blood to have one of the most exquisite and unique bouquets in the city. And trust me, I have refined taste.
She almost sounds like she's offended.
Well, if at first you don't succeed, perhaps you need a change of pace. Time for the next stop. Training wheels off this time. Gregory, Flushing Meadows, please.
How dare you? I'm going to take you downtown and flush you down the toilet.
The driver
What a
takes
mistake this was.
the driver takes the car over the Williamsburg Bridge. You settle into your thoughts.
Now, what did you do to the people back there? Those people back at the hall, they were all entranced. Even I was under your spell. What was that?
She smiles with satisfaction.
That old trick? Just the blood doing my bidding. We all have our talents, and some of them come from the legacy we inherit from our sire. Others can be learned with experience. I can sway people or make them fear me. I see more of the world and in greater detail than some kindred, and I can will my body to move with unparalleled precision and grace. Oh, and more. All of these skills make me who I am, but they also help me hunt.
Obvious question number 1. Okay, so what are my talents? None.
You have none?
Dumb. Yeah. You are useless, haha!
Well, time will tell. You need to discover them yourself. When we arrive, experiment. Give different things a try. Follow your instinct and intuition. It will guide the blood. Always keep the masquerade in mind, however. It's fine if you can disappear in plain sight or command animals with your mind, but save those overt talents for the right place and time.
It only takes you half an hour.
Raising an army of chipmunks.
Yeah, it only takes you half an hour to reach the park with this time of night. Both you and Sophie leave the car, with Gregory left behind again to find a parking spot and keep an eye on the car. Sophie seems deep in thought. He's probably paid well.
Yeah.
She takes in the surroundings with a dreamy gaze. The sky is surprisingly clear tonight. The stars just barely visible in the light-polluted aura of the city.
I feel like having a snack myself. I'll be by the fountain. Go look for somebody to your liking. See what effects you can achieve with your blood. But only pick one victim. Just one. Then come back.
Seeing how she seems not altogether here right now, you decide to leave Sophie to her own devices and seek out your prey. From here, it looks like you have a few choices. Just taking a stroll around the park and finding an isolated jogger or someone like them could work, but focusing on one area might work better. The New York State Pavilion might work as a secluded spot. There's also a skate park nearby, and worst case scenario, there's bound to be some unfortunate wino around. Or maybe the tennis courts nearby? There's a light coming from there, so somebody might still be playing a late night match. They won't be alone, but they might be tired and let their guard down. As these scenarios play out in your mind, you realize you're planning how to assault a stranger in the middle of the night. It's a weird way to be, but the now familiar hunger prompts you to act.
Well, I don't think we're gonna go looking for a wino, considering what we know about ourselves. Let's see. Who would be playing tennis after dark in Flushing Meadows? I feel like... Let's try the tennis courts.
Okay. You decide the tennis courts are as good a place as any and make your way to the bright glow of the lamps illuminating the area. As you guessed, a pair of players. 2 men, fit but older, maybe pushing 60, are finishing up a match. They're the only ones there. It's time to make a move. You can barge into the showers, or you can use your vampiric presence to lure a player away.
Let's try the second one.
Okay. You think back to what Sophie did in the hall, how she managed to focus the attention of the entire gathering on her. That might be a tall order for you, but a single person could be doable. You wait patiently until the 2 men hit the showers, get out and say their goodbyes. They go their separate ways, and one of them notices you standing there. You immediately grab his attention.
Whoa.
Good
Good
evening.
evening.
I don't know if I... Oh, yeah, you could have this tennis player. I actually haven't seen this guy. I don't think I've ever picked the tennis court.
Good evening.
He's never gonna go night tennising again after.
Damn. How strong do we come on here? I'm gonna go with very strong. Give me number 2.
Okay.
Hell yeah.
You could make my evening much better. Oh, and how's that?
Oh no.
You decide there won't be a better moment to strike. Moving closer, casually at first, then closing the distance in a single leap, you sink your fangs into his flesh. It only takes a sip for you to realize your mistake. A taste of mud and bile fills your throat a second time tonight. You push the man away. He stumbles and falls to the ground. You can barely believe your luck. The hunger in you unsated, you leave the courts in a foul mood.
Damn it, what kind of non-Richie is playing tennis in New York in the middle of the night? Ugh.
As you're about to walk back to Sophie, a figure emerges from the shadows and stops you in your tracks. A hooded man is looking menacingly at you. What do you think you're doing, barging in on my turf like this, Lick?
Ooh.
Let's ask for clarification of just exactly how we're being insulted. Did you call me a lick? What is that supposed to mean?
Don't be cute with me. I know what you are. Shove that masquerade bullshit up your ass. Better tell me who you're with before my posse shows up and we beat it out of you.
Oh boy. Well, I don't know. Okay, so I don't know enough about Vampyr to know if it makes sense to say that you're quote-unquote with the Camarilla.
I will let you know, one of the Ventru things is super defense.
Uh-huh.
If that entices you towards a specific option more, or helps you consider that as more valid.
Oh, all right. It's like I
Also,
don't want to.
Given how pissed off you are from not being able to fucking
yeah,
feed.
okay, sure. We'll roleplay big talk coming from a chump. You talk big, but I'm thinking you're just a chump. Want to prove me wrong?
What if this guy's from Joyzy?
He tenses up, gives you an extremely nasty look, and bares his fangs. You don't want to push your luck, dumb fuck. My crew is in earshot. One shout away, and you are DONE done. You get what I'm saying?
So if you want to dance, let's dance. Once I'm through, I'm gonna hand you over to Callahan, and you're gonna be sorry I didn't finish you off instead.
Ooh.
Oh. Now, when we get options like that, are they guaranteed to work, or is it just try to do
Generally, they will work.
Okay, well,
The
let's try
game
the
doesn't
first
try
one.
to. The game doesn't try to fuck you out of things where you will lose blood, unless it's just painfully obvious that that won't work. Enough's enough. You won't be intimidated by this asshole.
Leave. Now.
His countenance changes. A cruel beast one moment, a humbled pup the next. He walks away, just like that. How did you do it? Not wishing to tempt fate any further, you return to the Unisphere, looking back over your shoulder to make sure you're not being followed. Two figures are visible near the sculpture, a man and woman tangled in a passionate embrace. No, not exactly. It's Sophie, feeding. But this whole scene is set up so that it looks like a couple getting intimate in public. She pulls it off like she's done it 100 times before. It occurs to you that she probably has. The man is unsure on his feet as she lets go of him and leads him towards a nearby bench. Noticing you, she whispers something into his ear and leaves him. Her driver appears from behind a tree. Hello.
This is where I live.
Well, Theodora, how did it go?
You're about to answer when the same figure as before emerges from one of the alleys. He looks at the three of you and a predatory smile creeps on his lips.
You're screwed, dumb fuck. Do you think you can mess with my head and get away with it? Think you'll be safer with your friends? Well, I have friends too.
He makes a motion to shout, but two things happen almost at the same time. First, that feeling of warmth and beauty emanating from Sophie flares up again, entrancing both of you and the hooded thug. His shout comes out as a weak, confused squeak. Secondly, Gregory produces a wooden stake from a holster under his jacket and slams it into the thug's chest. That fucker eats wood.
I carved this entire tree I was behind into a stake.
Yeah. Just like that, in a few seconds, the posturing vampire is down on the ground, paralyzed.
Oh, I see you made a friend, Theodora. Curious choice of company, I'd say. Who's he?
Let's go with the third one. Feels like the most relevant. He said something about presenting me to somebody named Callahan. Ever heard of him?
She looks shocked for a split second and then recovers her regular countenance.
Oh, yes, I have. This hoodlum is an anarch, then. Curious. Corona Park has not been claimed by any kindred last I checked. Well, let's go to the car. We'll put him in the trunk and present him to Kadir tomorrow night. I'm sure he'll be delighted to make this Unbound's acquaintance.
No period.
Gregory carries the staked vampire and dumps him in the car's trunk like a mannequin. It's a strange sight, and you're quite happy you're not in that poor fucker's shoes right now. It's almost surprising that you can get away with just casually throwing a stiff into your car and driving away, but then you remember that Sophie's been doing this for far longer than you have. Still, a nagging thought that anything you did tonight could have been recorded on a CCTV camera or picked up by a rando with a half-decent smartphone and streamed online fills you with dread. Hunting and using your abilities is a dangerous business. It's clear that this whole being a vampire thing has about as many caveats as it has perks. You're taken out of your headspace by Sophie's voice.
I'll pick you up tomorrow night. Same as tonight. I have some business to attend to at Elysium, and I expect you to accompany me. Plus, our friend in the back needs to be properly introduced to Kadir and the prince. I'm sure they'll have something interesting to say to the court.
Her voice is cold, cruel, and nothing like the enchanting personality she showed at the gallery earlier tonight. Sophie is clearly a woman of many faces.
Good riddance, the guy's an asshole. Oh yeah, I can imagine he's going to enjoy meeting Kadir. I hope he gives him a good grilling. The guy's an asshole.
Oh, Kadir will enjoy it too, I'm sure.
Guy's an asshole. Probably a Yankees fan.
Yeah.
He's fucking dead when he
He's
meets
dead.
me here.
She pauses, seemingly lost in thought for a while.
Oh, you haven't told me how your hunting went. Getting the hang of it, I would hope.
Oh, I wanted fit young tennis boys, and I got an old mustached man.
Oh, don't you hate when that happens?
Number 3. My picky tastes flared up again. I couldn't make myself drink from that man, even though I did bite him.
That is unfortunate. I'm afraid I don't have a ready-made solution for this. You'll have to trust your instincts. The sooner you learn what it is you're looking for in a vessel, the better.
She seems distracted, not all there. Her thoughts drift and the car remains silent until you reach your apartment.
We'll pick you up tomorrow evening. Good night.
Just like that, without any further courtesy, Sophie leaves, driven to her apartment by Gregory with a body in the trunk, right in the middle of Manhattan. Did you cross paths with situations like these in the past unknowingly? What other secrets did you pass on the streets without knowing their true nature?
Imagine she's sitting there on a bench outside the apartment thinking about this. What other secrets might have passed without my knowledge? Looks to the guy next to her. What do you think? It's Sasquatch.
That's the world of darkness.
Your haven is just as you left it hours ago, although the sun won't come up for some time. You feel tired. You learned something about yourself today, and it'll take time to process. You're not in the mood for television, and the few books on the shelves in the apartment are either in languages you don't speak or sound like a boring read. Nothing left to do but rest. You settle in the back room, lock the door. A moment of hesitation, but then a decision. This time you turn the light off. You think back to Julie. How many people in this city know about this vampiric society? How many are willing accomplices in sustaining it? And the thug you met in the park. If he's not Camarilla, then what is he? Are there independent vampires? How's that work? More questions. You begin wondering if there's ever going to be a night when you can start crossing them off the list instead of adding to it. You close your eyes.
Damn.
You sink into the now familiar void of nothingness. It greets you with open arms, like an old friend. What? Oh.
It's toying with us.
Ah! You open your eyes. It's pitch dark in here, the blackness of a coffin drifting in the abyss. Oh, right, the light. You grasp for the switch, flip it. The familiar cramped room with a steel door and no windows comes into view. You emerge from the bedroom, fully awake, just like yesterday. This time, however, Sophie is waiting for you, comfortably seated on the sofa in your living room space, a book in her hand, The Melancholy of Resistance. Title sure on brand.
A book in her hand. Twilight.
Oh, I love it. But why is he going to a high school? It just doesn't make any sense. Good evening, Theodora.
Let's go with the first one. Good evening, Sophie.
I hope you rested well. Tonight will be quite eventful, I think. Come, we have an appointment. I received word Elysium would be called again tonight on account of your unruly friend from Corona Park. This should be a great opportunity for you to mingle.
She keeps talking as you walk downstairs and get in the car. Gregory gives you a slight nod and a small smile while opening the door for Sophie. He does not do the same for you. He starts the car when you take your seat in the back.
He decks you in the back of the head.
He slams wood in your chest.
And Gregory is a certified badass. Most of the Primogen Council is bound to be there at least. Those who usually attend. Probably some other important personalities you'd do well to at least learn about.
Yeah, the number one. Let's get a who's who. Anyone I should talk to when we arrive?
Not especially. My advice would be to try to talk to the prince, and perhaps reassure her of your gratefulness for being spared. Maybe speak to Kadir on the same topic if you get a hold of him. The Primogen I would advise against. They're rather stuck up, all told, and even if they talk to you, they might try to secure you for some nefarious purpose. I wouldn't appreciate that. I've already done it. Of course, be respectful. If anybody approaches you and strikes up a conversation, you'll no doubt be gossiped about, as will I. Keep a cool head. Some enjoy provoking fledglings into stupid acts. At any rate, you should behave yourself tonight. Remember what I told you about reflecting on me as your patron. I have a reputation to uphold in court. Do not tarnish it.
There it is. She might have saved you, she might be protecting and teaching you, but it's clear what she's really concerned about. Her own interests. You step into the art hole with something of a bad memory. The last time you were here, your entire world had been turned upside down and your existence nearly ended. But tonight, there's very little outward hostility. Yes, Kadir gives you a look that's definitely intended to remind you of your place, but the prince is also in attendance. Seems pleased to see you.
Welcome, Sophie. Theodora. Did I get that right? Good evening to both of you. I understand there's somebody else you wish to present to the court tonight? Yes, Prince. They'll be joining us shortly. My assistant is retrieving them presently.
This better be worth the prince's time, Langley. The prince gives Kadir a cold glance.
Forgive the sheriff's harshness. He's in a particularly foul mood tonight. Something to do with Theodora's begetter eluding his grasp.
Ouch, that must have hurt his ego, even if his only reply is a crooked smile. The mention of your sire makes you grit your teeth in anger, asshole. Settling you with a curse that cut off your career, cheated you out of your ambitions, offering little in return so far.
I think they meant saddling you.
You remind yourself that defeatism will get you nowhere. Mindfulness, the here and now, this is an opportunity. You will make the most of it, if only to spite everyone who doubts your true worth. Yeah, I noticed that as well, actually. I'm gonna fix that.
Fix what?
The music audio. It's already really low, but like it got really loud all of a
Like
sudden.
this track is just like not quite balanced right.
Yeah. The flaring up of whispers in the gallery hall breaks you out of your thoughts. Gregory enters the room, the jumpsuit-clad inert vampire still staked on his shoulder. The show's about to start. Sophie's driver places his charge in the middle of the room and nods respectfully to Kadir. The sheriff approaches the vampire and removes the stake from his chest. The captive's eyes flicker to life and he starts looking around in disbelief. Like a cornered animal, he backs out on all fours. Keeps going in circles before he realizes that he is trapped. Kadir steps on the man's chest and pins him to the floor. Why, who do we have here? Oh, fuck. Oh, shit, no, come on. Don't... Silence.
No, don't! I just love beer so much!
The sheriff takes on an aura of utter dread. He appears as if he's a primal force of nature that's out to get you, and there's absolutely nothing you can do but shrivel in terror. The beast inside you shrieks, and you could swear it happens in unison with the instincts of some of the other guests here tonight. It's unlike anything you've ever experienced in his company during your turbulent first night as a vampire. He really did go easy on you, all things considered. Seems like it takes all of the hoodlum's willpower to not crawl into a fetal position and start crying. No, please, don't hurt me, man. Don't. You and me are going to have a little talk downstairs, at the prince's discretion.
Please, go ahead, my sheriff.
You heard the prince. Get up. Let's go. He doesn't wait for a confirmation. He just grabs the man and drags him kicking and screaming out of the room. Conversations start all around you. Some whispered, some quite overt. Sophie looks somewhat bored of the whole affair, her eyes wandering from art piece to art piece, clearly finding nothing to her particular liking.
Number 3, I think. So, what happens now?
It'll be at least some minutes before Kadir gets the information he seeks out of the thug. Why not mingle while we wait for him to break? Excuse me.
Sophie leaves your side and goes to a corner of the gallery where a group of kindred, some seemingly pretty old-fashioned, gather. A concierge offers you a drink. Still warm, smells nice. Just a sip to start you off, a splash over your palate, coating your tongue and the inside of your cheeks. Nourishment. You're left to your own devices. You have a quick look around. The prince is currently talking to a dark-skinned woman that you recall seeing here those first few nights ago. She has a cold but noble countenance to her. Their conversation seems to be casual. A loud, shrill laugh turns your attention to the bespectacled man you saw with Sophie on the night of your judgment. He's making the rounds, chatting up different patrons. You feel somebody's eyes on you. A casually dressed, plain-looking man stands alone near a column, watching you. He turns his gaze away sheepishly when he realizes you've noticed.
So the guy looking at us is, I'm assuming, is intended to be the same guy from the council who apparently didn't want to murder us?
Correct.
Okay. Man, I know she told us to talk to the prince, but I kind of want to find out what that guy's deal is. Let's go number 3.
Okay. There's something about this guy. It's not that he's staring at you. Most everybody in this room has, at one point or another. It's how he does it. He seems shy, maybe even afraid. It's hard to find a secluded spot in the gallery tonight, but this guy has an entire corner of the room all to himself. As you approach, he's standing alone with no glass in hand, a worried look on his face.
Let's be a little sass master and go with number 3. So, care to tell me what's so interesting about me that you've been looking at me since I came in?
Sorry.
Whoa! Okay, that's not what I thought this guy was gonna look like.
His hair is so tall.
Everybody's hair is pretty tall in this. Sorry, didn't mean to pry. Just seeing how you're doing. You're still in one piece. That's good. I'm glad. Your name's Larson, or you can call me Robert. Either's fine.
Number 1. So, do you have a role in this court, or are you just here for the company?
Now that's a loaded question. I'm one of Prince Panhard's Primogen. I'm here on business in case the prince requires my insight. Usually it's so she can hear me out before ignoring me.
Damn.
Not sure if you were paying attention the other night, but when the prince mentioned diverging opinions on whether you should be executed or not, that was me. I was the diverging opinion.
Number 2. Not that I'm ungrateful, but out of curiosity, what was your reasoning?
My reasoning? Just common sense. That you shouldn't be blamed for being assaulted and essentially murdered to boot. But, as Kadir loves to say, the traditions are clear. Listen, I don't want to be rude and I appreciate you reaching out, but word of advice? Stay away from me. Many vampires in this sect regard my position as Primogen to be some kind of a joke, you know? You talk to me, they'll notice, and they'll hold it against you. You have a quick look behind you and see that a few of the kindred keep shooting you curious glances. One woman in particular, a redhead boasting a fanciful hairstyle, watches you disapprovingly.
It's Sophie.
Yeah. Some of them already do, I imagine. Excuse me. I need to try and get a word in with a few Primogen members before Kadir returns. Enjoy your night. With just the critical looks of a few kindred to keep you company, you start thinking about who to pursue next. You notice Sophie mingling with other kindred, clearly in her element and not to be disturbed. Kadir hasn't come back yet, so you could probably still find time for at least one conversation.
Okay, let's talk to the prince. We'll do what she asked us to do.
You approach the prince, trying to stay as respectful of her private conversation as possible. She glances at you as you step forward, her scrutinizing gaze mimicked by her compassion. She addresses the dark-skinned woman before returning to you.
Excuse me for just a moment, Samira. Yes, Theodora? What is it?
Number one. I wish to thank you for sparing me, Prince. I realize it wasn't an easy decision to make, and I wanted to express my sincere appreciation.
Oh, how thoughtful of you.
Bitch.
She takes a long look at you before she continues.
I didn't do it from the kindness of my unbeating heart. You're an asset to Miss Langley, and to the Camarilla, and to me. I believe I made the right decision. Prove to me and the other kindred of the city that it was so, and there might be more to your future nights than just survival and servitude.
The dark-skinned woman looks impatiently at you and catches the prince's attention.
Forgive me, that's all the time I can spare right now. We have some things to discuss with Samira still. Enjoy your night, Theodora.
That's all the time I can spare right now. I'm having a bitch of a time trying to get this other glove off.
Kadir, come here, get your sword.
Okay, I think we'll just bow and leave. I don't know if we're supposed to say anything.
You leave the two women to their conversation, which they get back to almost immediately after the prince turns to Samira. A loud exchange near the staircase grabs everybody's attention. Kadir is back, and the hoodlum is with him. The sheriff pushes the other vampire inside the room. The vampire that threatened you last night is a mess. That stupid hat is still inexplicably on his head, covering some of his ruined face in welcome shadow. He's barely conscious. His shin is broken, you think. Something protruding there, making the pant leg bulge. One arm seems twisted at a strange angle. Very little blood, surprisingly, but clearly a whole lot of hurt.
Well, Kadir, did our guest cooperate?
Tell the prince your name. It's Howard. And who do you run with, Howard?
And Howards can just never catch a break, huh?
Yeah. The Midnighters. An anarch coterie, my prince. Active for some time now, though from what this one told me, the name is about the only legacy the group has kept over the years.
I see.
Hey, Prince, I didn't mean it. I didn't know. I didn't... A loud crack makes some of the guests audibly gasp as Kadir's slap dislocates the man's jaw. A spray of blood creates something like an abstract art piece on the floor.
More art for the whole!
Yeah. An involuntary reaction. Your eyes lock onto the red drops, and you feel a pang of hunger. Even though you've had some blood tonight, it still seems like it's not enough to fully control your instincts. This one is guilty of threatening a member of the Camarilla and claiming a domain without the prince's approval. That alone would be enough to pass swift judgment, but he is also anarch scum. My prince?
There can be only one verdict. Final death. Do your duty, Sheriff.
Sophie speaks up. Excuse me!
Yeah. I want another hamster for my wheel.
I have one, and I think she's gonna get known.
Yeah. You have to get two.
You have to get two, otherwise it will die of depression or something.
Unless, of course, somebody would like to play at being a good Samaritan like our Miss Langley a few nights ago.
If only beer loved you as much.
The look the prince serves you and Sophie is a cruel jest. Sophie takes it gracefully, smiling and slipping her arm under yours in a strange public show of affection. Nobody says anything. The vampire named Howard jumps to his feet and makes for the window.
Holy shit.
I don't think we need to do anything. I'm pretty sure Kadir's gonna fucking take care of this.
Okay.
Kadir baseball swings this guy's head off.
You have a feeling Howard's efforts are fruitless. Just a few seconds later, that feeling is confirmed. He almost reaches the window. Almost, but not quite. In what seems like the blink of an eye, Kadir appears first near his scabbard sword in one corner of the gallery, and then next to the escaping anarch on the opposite side of the room. The next moment, Howard's head flies off his body, baseball cap free. His lifeless body crumbles to the ground and begins to decompose in real time. It's an uncanny sight.
I can't believe Howard and Beer broke up.
Yeah.
I thought that they were going to get married. As always, our sheriff does not fail to impress. I would like to thank Miss Langley for bringing this anarch thug to my and Kadir's attention. I assume all have found the verdict satisfactory?
It's a rhetorical question, and everybody here knows it.
Then I consider tonight's meeting concluded. Good night to all of you.
She steps out of the room, and you see that many of the guests move to do the same. Sophie seems to be conversing with somebody, a serious-looking man in a trench coat, about what transpired.
Does he have a katana?
Duh. You probably have the time to strike. She's talking to Blade. You probably have the time to strike up a conversation.
She's talking to Connor McLeod.
Yeah. Kadir al-Asmai is still here, but for one, but clearly getting ready to leave. Larson is still moping around, and the other man you noticed before Kadir brought the Anarch in is still chatting with the remaining attendants.
Oh boy, so we can talk to... God, you imagine talk to
bug
Robert Larson again. He just goes up. He's like, "What the fuck did I just say?"
Tell you? I'm sure I've done that before.
Fucking cake in your ears.
Every time I go through this game and play as a Bruja, I'm like, I'm just gonna do the thing that will get me in the most trouble without killing me.
You know, let's bias towards meeting our whole cast of characters, so let's talk to the sociable man.
Alright. The well-dressed man has just finished talking to a few of the guests, who turn toward the stairs to leave the gallery. He notices you approach. You have voiced this character before.
Oh! Thomas Arturo.
Yes. Awesome.
Pardon? Pardon? It's my name. I assumed you'd like to know. I know you. By name only, of course. Theodora? So tell me, how does it feel to go from victim to executioner's accomplice? I don't feel that sorry for bringing him here, so we'll go with the second one.
Yeah.
What can I say? I'm just glad I wasn't on the receiving end of Kadir's sword tonight. That was nasty. He's an artist with that sword of his, I agree.
He takes a moment to clean his glasses, completely ignoring you until he's done, and then puts them back on.
I'm sorry, I got a bit distracted. You know, most of us don't need to wear these, right? I can see just fine without them. But it's a statement.
Fuck him.
The damn things keep catching specks of dust and other assorted shit, though. Never stay clean for long. Sometimes I think they're more trouble than they're worth. Don't you agree?
Obvious question, number one. If I say if it's a pain to wear them and you don't need them, why do it?
Why? Well, like I said, it's a statement. Inconvenience is no excuse to stop pursuing perfection. What else is there, really? Right. That was a nice chat. I have to catch up with a few other fellows, like this gentleman here. Genie!
He doesn't even give you the chance to say goodbye. He's already off, putting a hand on the shoulder of a mustachioed man nearby. It's right about when Sophie also ends her conversation and walks over to you.
Interesting evening, wasn't it? Come, Gregory's waiting downstairs.
She seems preoccupied with something and not in a talkative mood. It's an awkward ride back to the city.
God, imagine she's not in a talkative mood. The entire ride passes in silence with her just fucking staring at you in the mirror the whole time.
This time, you arrive at another building, just 2 streets across from your apartment. She brings you upstairs, through a very nice lobby and a luxurious-looking hall into her domain.
Please have a seat. I'll be right with you.
You take in your surroundings. The apartment is like a gallery, an old-school smoking room that you've seen in some period piece once, and a nouveau riche's living room meticulously combined together.
It's like the apartment is like a gallery, a sort of art hole, if you will.
Apologies. Old habits die hard. Clearly some stick with you even after your death.
She drags on her cigarette and breathes out. Breathes? How's she doing that? Can you do that?
This is my special power.
Yeah.
Oh yes. You might not know. It takes some practice, but you can keep smoking if you'd like. Other things too. Experiment. You might surprise yourself. But I didn't bring you here to show off. This is where I rest these nights. A door in the back, the bedroom. Similar to yours, I have servants and bodyguards in addition, of course. I brought you here because I need you to trust me. When I told you before that I needed your best behavior to uphold my good standing with the court, I meant it. But that's not the whole story. I have your interests in mind too. That's why I've given you your own haven, and why I'm trying to teach you how to navigate this new reality. But you need to trust me or this won't work. You can come here whenever you feel like asking me something. When you're in trouble too, though I hope that won't happen often. I would ask that you come here when you wake up tomorrow. I have something to discuss with you.
Why not discuss it right now?
Because I have a dick appointment, Theodora.
Yeah. Why not talk right now since we're here together? Okay, so I can kind of breathe, but just to be clear, it will take me a good 45 minutes to get through this one cigarette.
I still need to follow up on a few things before we speak. Patience, fledgling!
That's silence again. There's definitely something going on in Sophie's mind tonight, but she doesn't seem eager to share it with you just yet.
I'm leaving for another visit. Come downstairs with me. We'll give you a lift.
A quick trip, a promise that you'll show up tomorrow, and some polite goodbyes later. You open the door to your haven and gather your thoughts. It's exciting in a way, being dragged deeper and deeper into this secret society and its rules. Whatever Sophie has planned for you, it's bound to teach you more about this thing that you have become. You sink into your vampiric sleep with just a sliver of hope. It's a welcome change.
Ow. I think we're gonna get... Hey, wait for it.
No.
Oh, no!
No.
Once more darkness falls upon the city. You wake up, same as you have these past few nights, in a windowless room. As you pry open the reinforced steel door, you look out the window to see, invariably, a sky bereft of sunlight, and then it hits you. The hunger. For a moment, you let yourself wonder if there will ever come a night when it's just not there. Given what you've learned thus far, you probably have as much a chance of kick-starting your heart with jumper cables. You lock the apartment behind you and head over to Sophie's apartment. You did promise to call on her. Might as well not keep the lady waiting. And hey, what else are you gonna do? Get in touch with your boss? He's probably looking for you, if only to scold you for the unattended files piling up on your desk. But what's he gonna do? Call the cops? Not worth the hassle. You're almost hoping the few coworkers that seem to give a shit about you were faking it. It would make things easier. Fresh start from the ground up, just like old times. These thoughts put you in a weird mood. It's a strange sensation to walk the crowded streets, same as you have so many times before, but feeling so disconnected. All these people, you're not one of them. Not anymore. You're a vampire, kindred, and you need to carve out your own path in this strange new existence one way or the other. Appropriately enough, you arrive at Sophie's building just as that thought crosses your mind. Quick word with the security guard, and you are let into the elevator. Apparently, Miss Langley is expecting you. Of course she is. You knock and wait patiently as the footsteps on the other side grow closer. Finally, the door opens and Gregory, Sophie's driver, invites you in. You find the lady herself standing by the window, silhouetted against the city's midnight glow. She stares out, motionless, like a marble statue.
Oh, new art.
Yeah.
If she's standing there looking like that and dotting at me, I guess we'll be compassionate. We'll ask if everything's all right. Is everything all right?
She doesn't react immediately, but seems to snap out of some meditative state and looks at you with strangely bleary eyes. Yes, it is.
How
I'm
kind
sorry.
of you to
That's
ask.
you, Mo.
Tell me, when you look out at the city, when you see the lights and hear the hum, smell the rain on the pavement, what do you think about?
You gaze out. The lights and rain, the relentless honking below, music blasting from a nearby window, echoing off of buildings. Someone should record an hour of this and throw it up on YouTube as an ambient piece.
With this, the relentless honking below, I imagine she looks out over the city, looks down, and there's just a shit ton of geese everywhere.
Yeah. Other than that, though, it's business as usual. The sights, the sounds, the smell, the geese. You know them all too well. Sophie
Can you
watches
imagine how much shit there would be everywhere?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Almost as much as there is in New York City.
In New York, yeah.
Sophie watches you. You can tell she's disappointed, but she covers it up with a courteous smile.
Well, not everyone can appreciate the intricacies that the world offers. In fact, among kindred, my clan is somewhat notorious for finding innate meaning in even the mundane. You see, the blood that flows within me is that of Clan Toreador. There are 13 such bloodlines among us kindred, though that number has been contested in the past, and these nights it seems nothing is certain anymore. Clans have gone by many epithets over the years, but the names used these nights have their roots in medieval times. The original Inquisition, if you can believe it. They used to categorize us, describe our inherent differences. In time, we adopted them ourselves. Each clan has a uniqueness about it, inescapable, originating from an ancient progenitor carried from sire to child. For the Toreador, the gift lies in sensitivity of sorts. We're uniquely attuned to beauty and ugliness both. We can see either where most cannot. It's a blessing. On most nights. Occasionally a curse. The sheriff is one of my clan as well. Oh, you'd be hard pressed to see him as such. Poor Kadir. It breaks my heart to see him in this state. Still, there's beauty to it as well. Nothing like a good fall from grace.
Try as she might to act playful, you can tell she genuinely cares. She lets her gaze wander for a brief moment, but is quick to regain her composure.
Then there are the Ventru, known for their pride and a proclivity to rule over others. The prince represents that clan as well, as is quite common in our society around the globe. Where the blue bloods think themselves the rulers, the Bruja like to see themselves as preeminent revolutionaries. They call for universal rebellion while being slaves to their own temper.
And of course, the last and the most notorious vampire clan of all,
Chocula.
the Mets.
The New York Mets.
We don't really discuss the rabble much any longer, not after they've largely broken off with the Camarilla. To think, They were philosophers once, long, long ago. I hope to tell you more about some of the other bloodlines tonight.
But those are the 3 playable ones, so we probably won't.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Number 2. Say I meet a vampire for the first time. How can I tell what their clan is?
Usually you can. With a few exceptions, perhaps. For some clans, the uniqueness I mentioned bleeds into their appearance or disposition, but even that could be misleading. Outside of a very few specific cases, knowing one's clan is less important than understanding who they are personally. What drives them, their wants and needs, weaknesses too. Speaking of which, we've come to the reason I wanted to speak to you tonight. It's customary in our society, especially among younger kindred, to organize into coteries. Sometimes these are called by the prince themselves or mandated by a fledgling sire. In our case, you may treat it as more of a strong recommendation. I want you to seek out companions, not only because you need to learn more about our society, but because it's also useful. True friendships are rare among kindred, but having allies, even temporary ones, is something of a necessity these nights. We might be selfish creatures, but we're drawn to each other nonetheless.
Number 2. So tell me, are you part of a coterie? Any close allies?
Oh, I do have those that I trust enough to work with, yes. Not a coterie exactly, though. I have joined several of those over the years. Not in over a century, though. You, however, you would do well to meet some of the city's younger kindred and see if you can find a connection. It's an essential experience for one so young.
She puts on a mysterious smile.
I spent some of my precious time last night asking around, pondering potential kindred for you to meet. Came up with a short list of contacts. I hope you'll appreciate the gesture. Forging a partnership with them might offer perspectives and viewpoints that I can't provide. Lenses through which to view our kind. They are all members of the Camarilla, of course. More or less.
I just want to call it in chat in response to, like, no, you can't generally tell what clan a vampire is from looking at them. There's a whole procession of people dunking on the Nosferatu.
Yeah.
If you ever meet someone with a bat face, I think you'll know. If they're Nosferatu, you just have to have eyes. If you meet a melted troll doll in the sewers, you'll know.
It'd be like that.
They cry.
Let's go number 1. Alright then, let's hear it. Who's on the list?
Eager to learn about them, I see. Good, I'm glad. So, let's start with the Tremere. They're a powerful clan, disliked by many, but feared and respected by many more. They've been an important pillar of the Camarilla since the very beginning. They are blood sorcerers.
Blood sorcerers? You flash back to one of those nights when your ex would stay up late playing video games. Not a pleasant connotation. Sophie snickers.
Oh, child, don't be caught with that look on your face when you meet a warlock in person. They're really adept at, using their vitae, their own as well as others, to unique and potent effects. Since they're quite rigid in their hierarchy, the kindred I had in mind for you might need some persuading. His name is Agathon, and from what I hear, he's quite the scholar, very ambitious. The child of a noted Tremere here in the city, Isling Superbridge. Spend some time...
Sturbridge.
What is it?
Sturbridge.
Storbridge?
Sturbridge.
Sturbridge.
Yep.
Spend enough time with Agathon, and I'm sure you'll run into her sooner or later.
Number 2. I am a well-paid CEO at a major company. Ew, learning gross.
Learning sounds boring.
You know what? I can't resist picking number 1, because that's what I, Arim, am thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This whole blood magic thing sounds intriguing. How do I take my first wizard level?
Oh yes, fascinating. It's also a well-kept secret of the Tremere. Don't expect them to share it right away. Some things have to be earned. Anyway, if you wish to contact the young Tremere, I hear you can usually find him in a New Age bookstore out on Broadway. The Tremere have one of their workshops there. Gregory will give you the details. Now, next recommendation comes with a bit of a caveat. As you recall me saying, most bloodlines have unique features that might not be obvious at first glance. Well, there is one clan whose members wear their curse on their sleeve.
The melted troll dolls.
The melted troll dolls. Hideous and disgusting.
The way she
Oh,
said
come
it-
on, Theodora. Your last name is Vampyr, and you've never heard of Nosferatu?
Yeah. The way she said it, you're pretty sure it should mean something to you. Other than it sounding foreign, it doesn't ring any bells.
No wonder they make their havens in sewers, abandoned buildings, and such. Their appearance is hideous and obviously unnatural. Had they walked the streets like other kindred, the kind would have learned of our existence long ago.
Did she just shudder? It's hard to tell with her usual complexion, but you could swear her skin suddenly took on an even more sickly color.
The one I have in mind isn't as big an eyesore as the worst of them, but he's no Adonis either. Still, he has some talents and connections you might find useful. His name is D'Angelo, and he has an office, for the lack of a better term, in the otherwise abandoned grain terminal in Red Hook, right next to one of those Swedish stores. The name escapes me. The awful furniture and the meatballs.
Yeah. What, IKEA? A Swedish furniture? You mean IKEA?
Oh yes, that's it. My mind struggles to retain things that are aesthetically displeasing.
Oh, please, you say that, but I bet you just bought one of their Hoodsnorgenblorgens and tried to set it up, and it was missing 2 screws.
That's the classic experience.
Mo. Hello?
Oh, it's your line still. She's dead.
D'Angelo does... Oh, hello?
That was weird. What
yeah,
was that?
that was weird. You cut out
Didn't
for a
hear
little
anything
bit.
for a while.
Huh. Mysterious. D'Angelo does odd jobs for Gadir. Digging up dirt, locating the kindred who would prefer to remain hidden. The kind of work that Nosferatu are best at. He's on a case right now. Something to do with kind murders, I think. After your initial brush with our dear sheriff, I think it would be wise to show some goodwill towards his agenda. Assisting D'Angelo with his investigation might just be the thing.
She takes a brief pause to look out the window again.
Now, here comes 2 more exotic proposals.
Exotic, as if the blood mage and the vampire detective were business as
Yeah,
usual.
that's what I was gonna say.
Okay, you may have heard about the Gangrel before. They are a wild clan, in touch with their beast in a way others might not dare to attempt. They mostly keep out of big cities, but there are exceptions. Nominally, they haven't been a part of the Camarilla for over 2 decades, but the one kindred I would like you to meet has strong, shall we say, family ties to the sect. Her name is Tamika. Her sire, Jezebel, was very instrumental during the Battle of New York back in 1999.
Wait, isn't that from fucking Castlevania? In Castlevania lore, wasn't there like a climactic battle against Dracula in 1999 that's the backstory for Aria of Sorrow?
I suppose it is, yes.
I wonder if that
I don't
has...
know if it's in New York. Because
Yeah, I don't
know
remember
that,
if it was...
I know that the book that... So the book that battle first is referenced in, I know that one came out like days after 9/11, which was awkward because that book was called New York by Night.
Oh dear.
The very same battle that cemented the city as a Camarilla domain. Sadly, her achievements have gone largely unrecognized. Tamika and a number of her siblings still reside in the domain they were awarded after the battle, Prospect Park. Jezebel herself left the city some years ago, fed up with being underappreciated.
You mentioned siblings? Siblings? Actual biological brothers and sisters?
Oh, no, not in the mortal sense. Gangrel sometimes use the word brood to indicate child or begot by the same sire. As you can probably tell, they do take the whole animal motif quite far. I'm not sure how many of them there are, but there are rumored to be a tight-knit group. The Gangrel often act on instinct, so when you meet Tamika or her siblings, be careful not to slight them. They are easily provoked and can hold a grudge for a long time. I speak from experience. So you see, seeking out Tamika could prove quite educational, if nothing else. And who knows? Perhaps you'll find her temperament to be a welcome change of pace. But speaking of change of pace, I have one last suggestion for you, though it's one I don't make lightly. The kindred who calls herself Hope. She is a Malkavian. They are a uniquely cursed clan. For centuries, we considered them mad or insane, unhinged. But those of us who spend enough time with them come to understand the truth. It is no sickness, but a unique perception of the world that has them appear to us as unstable. And that perception can prove to be very valuable. Having a Malkavian as your companion might be taxing on the nerves, and a true test of patience at times, but their insight and intuition are unrivaled among kindred. As for Hope specifically, she is said to be reclusive, but I have it on good authority that she can currently be found in an internet cafe. I believe it's called in Lower Manhattan. Gregory has the address.
Number 2. An internet cafe. Really? How quaint.
Ah, I see your Ventru blood is acting up and giving you things to say.
I really wouldn't know. I don't believe in the internet.
I haven't purchased a technology since a typewriter.
Well.
Uh-oh.
Oh.
We lost her again. But
mysterious.
Oh, there he goes.
There she is.
Why does it keep doing that?
I don't know.
But since you brought it up, be aware that the Camarilla is highly critical of using the internet to communicate. The Second Inquisition made sure of that. Exercise caution when at her haven. Well, let me see. I believe that's all of them. I still have a few social calls to make tonight, so I'll leave it to you. Exposition over. Use tonight and tomorrow night to arrange some cordial visits of your own.
This was the part that Mo was just dreading.
It's
my least favorite part too, because I'm just like, I know this.
Yeah, this is always the hardest part of this game. I will send Gregory for you as soon as I have further need of your services. Oh, that reminds me. You will need a car. Join us downstairs, won't you?
Don't you mean a jalopy?
She smiles once more and turns to her driver. He helps her put on her coat, and the three of you leave Sophie's apartment. Sophie points to one of the cars near the building as Gregory hands you the keys. It's a rather inconspicuous, compact car, a decent-looking, if not luxurious ride.
Stay safe, Theodora. This is your first night alone. Don't let it be your last.
Ba-bum.
As they drive away, you find yourself with more freedom than you've had for the past few nights. A blessing or a burden? Time will tell. With a list of addresses in your hand, you consider your next move. So I think we have time for about one more scene, and it will be the first scene that we interact with one of our buddies. Now, I'm going to let you know that you can make a bad enough impression on your buddies that they don't want to talk to you anymore. And that is specifically for these first scenes. So these are essentially the most dangerous a scene will get in terms of interacting with these guys and you know, hanging out with them.
Go with?
Okay. Noted. Does this game have saves, or is it just...
we can save scum if you want, but like
I guess what I'll ask is, how likely is it that I will manage to do that by accident?
I have fucked up like the first time I played, I lost access to Agathon and D'Angelo.
Damn. Okay, yeah. Let's save.
Okay.
I want to go talk to the sorcerer.
Oh no.
Obviously.
Okay, so you cannot save scum. You could just well, I guess you can.
You can,
I don't
like...
think it deletes your save or anything like that, so I think you'll be fine.
It probably normally won't let you exit the game without saving, but
I
you
will
can
probably just like
you can probably like
cheat it.
Alt F4
Yeah.
or Control Delete it if
Yeah.
you want to.
Yeah.
That's how you get around Iron Man in Crusader games.
I had never even tried that.
I actually haven't done that myself either, but a lot of people, when on like the Crusader Kings and Europa Universalis subreddit, will be like, oh man, my fucking 666 stat heir just died in a hunting accident, and all the comments will be like, oh man, what a weird time for your game to crash.
Yeah. So you're gonna go for Agathon?
Yeah, let's go talk to him.
Good choice.
Austin's favorite.
He is my boy.
I mean, he looks like Austin again.
Again, yeah. You arrive at the address given to you by Sophie, a small bookstore smack dab in the middle of Broadway, of all places. What really catches you off guard, though, is the store's display. From what you've heard about the Tremere, they are infamous for their ties to the occult and the mystical. And yet now, looking at the oddball collection of items in the display window, it feels borderline satirical. The books here cover everything from Ayurvedic practices and homeopathy to wellness and self-motivation. The vaguely amusing juxtapositions don't end there, either. You notice a copy of Anton LaVey's Satanic Bible tucked behind a cheap, smiling Buddha. A scientific journal on hematology sits next to a teen-oriented pamphlet on the blood-type personality theory. A number of religious and quasi-religious symbols, lockets, pins, and various emblazoned paraphernalia are haphazardly strewn across the display and between the tomes. Before you even open the door, you can smell the burning incense and hear the corny, Far East-tinged music seeping through the crackling speaker mounted above the entrance.
Before you even step through the curtain of beads.
Yeah, exactly. It's much more quaint than what you expected from what Sophie told you about the so-called warlocks. It doesn't look like they have much interest in impressing outsiders. Then again, if there's anything you've learned these past few nights, it's that appearances can be deceiving. In case you aren't all aware, if you've ever watched Valor Academy, there is a heavy amount of merit that is based off of Clan Tremere and their weird sort of hierarchies. At this time of night, the shop appears to be closed. Regardless, you ring the bell. You hear someone shuffling around inside. A brief moment later, the latch slides and the door is pushed open just a few inches. A tired-looking blonde in loose clothes appears in the crack. She seems confused, like you just woke her up. She lets out a yawn, scratching at her tattooed neck.
Do you like this tattoo of 2 holes?
Yeah. Finally, she squints in your general direction. Her pierced lip curves into an awkward smile.
Number 1. I'm looking for a guy named Agathon. Is he around?
The girl gives you a suspicious look over, but opens the door. She takes a few steps back, and you hear footsteps coming from behind a floral curtain that covers the back door. A bespectacled, smart-looking woman emerges and looks straight at you. Come in and follow me. Just don't touch anything, please.
Oh, I like this person's design.
Oh, yes.
Oh, is that Aisling?
That is Aisling Sturbridge.
That's great art for her.
You follow her through the store. Inside, as expected, the stuffy air smells of sandalwood, frankincense, and a dozen other aromas. The woman leads you behind the curtain and through the back door onto a rickety staircase. A flight of steps takes you up to the second story. You instantly notice the change in decor as the tacky New Age bookstore gives way to something resembling a cross between a library and a workshop.
This is also giving me big Dresden Files vibes.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
The smell here is strong too, but much more layered. You're not sure what to make of it at first, but with each whiff it becomes apparent. Blood. The aroma, though subtle at first, soon becomes overpowering. It takes you a moment to adapt and focus. I don't think you know who you're speaking with, so an introduction is in order. My name is Aisling Sturbridge, and I am the High Regent of the Chantry of the Five Boroughs. You are Theodora, correct? I have to say, you're lucky the ward outside the building is only there for notifications tonight. Otherwise, it would have been quite unpleasant. To answer your question, Agathon is here, but he's hard at work, and I wouldn't want to disturb him. Am I to understand this is a social visit?
I read that sounds important. I'm not gonna make fun of them hiding above. That's actually pretty clever. So let's just say, how do you know who I am? Wait, how do you know who I am?
Well, for one thing, knowing who's who in this city is one of my duties as High Regent. But more importantly, you've been on the mind of many a kindred since Langley took you in. It's quite a precedent, as I'm sure you know. A first under Prince Panhard. And so, for Sophie to be the one to do it. Curiouser and curiouser. Still, I'm sure you haven't come here to look for dirt on your sire. That would be unwise. You want to be as straightforward and competent as possible.
Honestly, that was generally my read. So I'm just gonna say 1. Sophie suggested I should meet Agathon. She said he's quite knowledgeable.
Did she now? Aisling looks you up and down. Her countenance seems unchanged, but you can tell she's judging what you said. That's new. Suddenly, a man enters from a side room. He doesn't even look at you, lost in his own thoughts.
Whoa. Holy shit.
So big.
This guy is... Oh my god, he's permanently doing a Kubrick stare.
Yeah. I have it, Aisling. I think I know how to find it. He catches himself as he notices you. His face turns sour.
Yeah.
A visitor?
You can't tell, but I am now displeased.
Yes, we were just discussing you, in fact. Is that so?
Seems only polite to introduce myself.
Yeah, that's what I do too.
Let me introduce myself. My name is Theodora. I've been told you might be interested in teaming up.
Teaming up? He seems very confused by the notion. What for?
Number 3. I sure as fuck can't assist in his work.
Yeah.
Well, I could use your knowledge. I'm new here, and a scholar like yourself could teach me a lot, I imagine.
You're not wrong. He turns to Aisling. High Regent, may I ask your advice on this?
You're not wrong, but you are dead.
She looks you over as if judging your worth. It takes her just long enough to make you feel uncomfortable. Actually, my child, I would consider giving this one a chance to prove their worth. Oh? She addresses you. I'm trying to understand why Langley took an interest in you, Theodora, and I might have caught a glimpse of her reasoning. I think you may be of aid to Agathon in his current task. Why don't you start by giving our intern here a brief explanation of what it is you're after? Agathon gives Aisling a hesitant look, but the woman nods approvingly. Encouraged, he turns towards you. A member of our clan disappeared without a trace a handful of nights ago. While the High Regent investigates if any foul play was involved, I have been tasked with recovering her research notes. If there is anything left to recover, that is. I may have an idea of where to start looking, and I suppose this is where you come in. If you truly wish to help, I could use your assistance tonight. Right now, in fact. Given the time we've just wasted on idle chatter, I should leave immediately.
Oh, what the rush? Who get what TV first? And I don't think I've earned the privilege to know what the research is about, so let's just ask who the missing person is. And the missing kindred, who is she?
A single glance at Aisling is enough. You can tell you're not getting an answer, at least for now. We're after her research. You were after her research. That's what you should focus on. These people aren't in the habit of making things simple. Facing layers upon layers of secrecy, you can only hope that what lies beneath is the real deal. I'm heading out. Are you coming or not?
Yeah. Sure, I'll join you.
Very well. He gives Aisling a slight bow. High Regent, with your permission. She nods. Before you go, however, Theodora, defer to Agathon in all things. Our clan values obedience above everything else. Prove you can follow, and this might turn into a mutually beneficial relationship. I will await his return, and his report. Good luck, my child. Agathon bows again and heads out, urging you to follow. The High Regent watches you leave. Outside, Agathon leads you to his car. It's almost funny seeing him get behind a wheel. Somehow you'd expect a more mystical means of transportation. You drive south, heading to the lower
God!
Yeah.
I like this the least of all.
You drive south, heading to the Lower East Side. Agathon seems lost in thought. Either that, or he's a very careful driver. Either way, several minutes pass in silence.
Just a moment. $20 in my pocket.
Yeah. Also, I'd like to point out that this sprite over here is just Kadir's again, and I can't help but think that that Agathon was designed with that in mind.
Yeah.
Trying to reuse art.
Trying to save some money. You drive south, heading to the Lower East Side. Agathon seems lost in thought. Oh, I said this already. Agathon. Now that you've already joined Agathon, you're good.
Oh, you can just immediately strike out.
Yeah.
What do you have to do to fuck up?
Completely unimpress Aisling. Like, if you sit there and try to suck up to them at all, she'll just be like, get this idiot out of here.
Oh, I
like,
see.
you can still fuck this up, but, like, it's a lot easier to handle now, and Agathon is not quite as uptight as you were led to believe.
I see. Well, I'm gonna ask what I'm most curious about, which is number 2.
Okay.
So the High Regent is your sire? Did I get that right?
Yes. He seems to be thinking of the right words before he decides to address you again. Let me ask you something. Why me? There's likely a couple hundred of us in New York, yet you seek me out specifically. Why?
Honestly, number 2. I've been told of a few younger vampires I should meet. You sounded like an interesting guy.
Interesting. I see. Once more, he grows silent. You're unsure whether to continue prying as your driver seems to disappear into his thoughts. You drive into Williamsburg and stop by a fancy-looking building. We're here. There's a restaurant on the top floor. You wanted to help, so here's your chance. I need you to get us inside the VIP lobby. You recognize the place. It's where you embraced a mere few nights back. Funny how this restaurant is apparently a vampire magnet. Once we're in, I need about half an hour of focus and some space. It'll be up to you to keep attention away from the room. Can you do it? He doesn't wait for an answer and points to the front door. Go ahead. I'm right behind you.
Can you do it? No! You leap out of the car and run away.
Strike 3. The
He
two
takes off the wig.
Yeah, he takes off a wig and his hair gets longer. Yeah. The two of you take the elevator up to the restaurant.
You walk in, Agathon. What the fuck is that candelabra?
Yeah. The door opens and you see that there are only a few guests left sitting at their tables. An important-looking staff member approaches you. You can have this one.
Good evening. I'm very sorry, but the restaurant is closing for the night. I can make a reservation for next week if you wish. Well, he just asked me to get us in, right?
Yes, get us in and then stop anyone who might want to look in on whatever it is he's doing.
God. Alright, let's... Rather than leaping straight to mind control, let's see if we can just squidgle. So I'm gonna say I'm the special kind of client. No, I think we can get in now. We're special clients, if you know what I mean.
We're special clients now.
Oh, yeah. Oh, thank you, Austin. I wouldn't have even noticed. You saved me from myself. I don't think I do. Apologies, but it's a company policy. No exceptions. Would you like to make a reservation? Oh, he's not in on the vampire biz. Alright, fine. Mind control him. Hey, it's all good. We can come in. We'll be in the VIP lobby. It won't take long.
The man blinks. A confused smile appears on his face.
Yes, of course. Not a problem. Please, come right in.
You walk in, trying to look casual, and you make your way towards the VIP lobby. You step inside and close the door behind you. This is a familiar sight. The same place where you had your last meal as a mortal. Strange. You should feel something, but the lavishly decorated room looks almost plain to you. Your companion looks at you with something akin to admiration, or at least that's how you choose to interpret the slight change in his usual somber facade. Not bad. Not bad at all. He inspects the room. It's unusually cold, and Agathon soon discovers why. Looking behind the curtain, a window hangs open. The handle and lock look like they've been dissolved, as if with acid. God damn it, Juno.
Number 3. No need to ponder the obvious. Whoever Juno is, it looks like she's no longer here.
A flash of fury sparks at his eyes.
Yeah, no kidding.
He takes a frantic look around the room.
This changes things. Keep an eye on the door. I'll need some time. Half an hour at the very least. Nobody disturbs me, understand?
He hastily pushes a couch and some potted plants out of the way, moves a bar stool, and then takes out a curved knife. Cutting into his own arm, he lets some of his blood drip onto the wooden floor. It's pretty fucked up the way his flesh uses the deep red, thick vitae. In life, you'd have found it stomach churning, but right now, you feel weirdly turned on by the sight.
Pretty hot, pretty hot.
Pretty hot. What follows is more disturbing yet. With one hand, he sheathes the knife and seals the wound. With the other, he smears blood around him while muttering some weird chant. It sounds vaguely Latin, but you're pretty sure it isn't. It's all a little more than disconcerting, but he seems to know what he's doing. A few moments later, the circle starts glowing faintly as thin wisps of smoke surround Agathon. He sits down in the middle, legs crossed, eyes closed. Minutes pass. Agathon's face twitches from time to time, and his head turns every now and again, as if he was looking around or listening in on a conversation. The smoke grows thicker, forming a veil around the mage. You expected something more flashy, but it's still a sight to behold. You wonder what the point of it is, but refrain from asking. It's probably just best to let him do his thing. For close to 30 minutes, you're left to your own devices. Then suddenly, the door opens slightly and the manager leans into the room. You tense up for a second, but he just gives you an awkward smile.
Anything you need? Did you happen to roofie me?
You shoo him away before he can take a closer look at your companion, and he retreats obediently. 2 minutes later, Agathon casually gets up off the floor and walks to the sofa. He pushes his hand between the cracks in the upholstery and fishes something out. He then turns to you and nods. We're done here. Let's go. You make your way back to the elevator, passing the manager on your way. He gives you a slight, somewhat confused smile, but neither him nor any of his staff get in your way. Despite that, the elevator ride down feels tense, and the two of you only relax once inside Agathon's car. He starts the engine and takes the right on Continental Army Plaza back onto the bridge. Just about to say something, but he beats you to it. That went better than I expected, all things considered. Might have been a trick of the light, but you're pretty sure you just saw a smile.
I've never been happier in my life.
I'm used to working alone, but what I'm dealing with right now might require some more assistance, and you seem capable enough.
Number 2. So I'm guessing you found what you came for?
Sort of. Enough to continue the search at any rate.
That seems to deplete his social battery for the night. You drive the rest of the way in silence.
Mood.
Yeah. It doesn't take you long to reach the Warlock's hideout. Agathon waves at you absent-mindedly, once again lost in his thoughts. Hopelessly so. One of these nights you should probably take him up on his offer. Who knows, if you gain his trust, maybe you can actually break through his stoic facade and meet the man underneath. The hunger calls to you. The city skyscrapers, the seemingly never-ending sprawl of the boroughs. It's all a prison. You need to get out. You need to take back control over your life this instant. The memory of your sire's frosty blue eyes mocks you, tempts you to show your dominance, to prove you have the guts to take what you want. Feeding. That's just the thing. Coaxing. No, ordering a mortal to bend to your will, drinking deep from their lifeblood. Faces pass you by. While some look more ravishing than others, any would do right now.
Would they, though? I feel like experience has proved that to not be the case.
You compose yourself, your rational mind fearing a blatant breach of the Masquerade's temporary hold over the beast and its compulsions. Calming yourself is a small victory in and of itself. The semblance of command will have to do for now, but it won't last. You need to quench this hunger before it overtakes you and makes you lose control.
Dum, dum, dum.
So is that just like, oh yeah, we always play this at this time segment, or is that the you're about to fucking die?
That is the you're gonna frenzy if you don't eat soon.
Okay.
Okay.
They haven't given me an opportunity.
I know. It's tough.
That's the venture bullshit, man.
Yeah, that's how it is. And so, with that, we are going to go ahead and continue this next week. We will continue our spooky journey through New York City. In this game, Coteries of New York. We'll probably meet some of the others and maybe hang out with Agathon again. Who knows?
Yeah, I love Agathon, like, a lot.
Agathon is... You don't meet him for realsies. Like you get kind of an idea of what he's about in the opening, but like he gets better.
Gets better. So much better.
It's the taste is based on the fact that you're a Ventru. That's not going to change. You don't have to worry about it as much if you choose one of the other clans. It's a lot easier to feed. But we were determined to play Theodora Vampyr, so that is what we're gonna do. With that, I'm gonna go ahead and say, in terms of replaying this game, no, you don't have to worry about the hunger, the specific feeding penalty when you are playing the Toreador or the Bruja. You have to worry about their clan weaknesses, which are the Bruja Frenzy easier, and then the Toreador kind of get lost in reveries from time to time whenever they encounter their specific art or whatever it is that makes them
special interests.
The
special
Toreador
interests.
get lost down the art hole.
Yeah.
Yeah, they get lost down the art hole. And so, with that, I'm going to go ahead and pop this open. I thank you all for coming out and hanging out with us, and we hope you join us next time.
Please.
Say goodnight to chat, everybody.
Good night.
Blair!
Blair!